Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terribles over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with and talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! I'm on my way to Monday Night Raw.
For the second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. We've got Devin Gordon with us.
At Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
What's going on? Monday, June 10th, 2024. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. I am Jimmy here with Chris and Jay-Z. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in on this lovely Monday night. We have a great show in store for you tonight. We got Joey Amantea on the show tonight. We're going to talk to him a little bit, get to know him a little bit about his career, and talk a little bit about Eastern Storm that's coming up this week. That's basically a big chunk of what we're going to be talking about tonight. Big week here in PA, one of my favorite weeks, and I know a lot of people enjoy it as well. We'll also go over everything from last week, Williams Grove, Port Royal, Lincoln, as well as some high limit and outlaws, and anything else that comes up. As always, put your questions and comments in the chat. I already see some of our great fans in the chat. Randy, what's going on? Good evening. Steph, as always, what's going on? Matt, what's going on? Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Fellas, how you guys doing tonight?
Awesome, man. Looking forward to it. Got a haircut. Troy said I had the worst hair on the show. I was promoted to worst hair on the show. I had to get demoted back down, hopefully. Had to take care of that, but feel good.
Can't have the worst hair if you have no hair. That's what all three of us went with.
I didn't know Jeremy was doing that, so I shaved everything off. Like, whatever. I don't want Craig Dunn in here telling me that I look like Justin Bieber. That's Jimmy's job.
I'm trying to class this place up a little bit,
Yeah, we're getting there. You're definitely you brought the classy scale up at least 2 notches, so I appreciate that.
For sure.
Well, I was going to bring Joey on, but he just reconnected. Let's bring him on. He's a young man, is racing USAC National Sprint Cars, running the tour fully this year from Mount Pocono, PA. Get to kind of run kind of the home state here for this week. So let's bring him on, Joey Amantea. Joey, thank you so much for hanging out.
What's going on? Sorry about that. My dad called me, and it's the whole thing. I couldn't hear anybody. I'm like, oh, great, it's broken already. First off, I do this every time. You three, how do you think you pronounce my last name?
I thought it was-
Amantea, right?
I thought it was
No.
Amantea.
Nope.
I don't
Everybody
even
gets
have
it
a
wrong.
guess.
Amantea.
Amantea. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like I'm gonna do a visor one day that says dash man dash the letter T dash and maybe people will be able to pronounce it. I mean, it's a tricky one, so I don't get upset, but it's funny listening to announcers try to.
You do really have like your last name could have like 5 different pronunciations, and all could sound right.
Honestly, like when people say Amantea, I let that go because it does look like that. But it's Amantea.
Okay.
Amantea. So I get that. I totally relate. No one can say Zarfos properly in my entire life, any existence. I don't even like. I let it go at this point.
What's your favorite one, Jeremy?
Favorite is when they don't even they add letters to it. Like
it's like that Zarfophagus or whatever that one was. That happened one time.
Zarfs.
I heard Automotive before, so it's out there.
I remember there was one Jeremy called something. It was like, I don't even know how you got to that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they at least start with a Z, it's better than a lot of things I get called. So, whatever. If at least they get the beginning of it right. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. Kind of on short notice.
No problem.
For
Thank
sure.
you guys for having me.
We wanted to kind of have you on after that Port Royal race that you won, and it's just the timing and you're doing some traveling, so you're home at least for a day or two, so that helps. But tell us a little bit about your background, man. You're a young guy. Tell us a little bit about your fit. Holy shit, Scott! What is he doing? Skylar G just took a ride. Okay, anyway. Oh yeah, I don't know what he was just doing right there. Like he drove in there. Oh, turn 1 of the heat race. Just all right. Maybe he's pissed at someone. You'll see that in a minute. All right. So give me a little bit about your background, man, your family's history in racing, kind of where you started to where you're at today.
So I guess we could start with family history. It started when I was 5. My dad never raced. No family ever raced. So I'm kind of I am the first generation driver here. And started racing quarter midgets when I was 5, ran them till I was 11 years old, then got into a 600 micro, and first year out, ran Hamlin every week. Actually ended up winning the 2017 rookie 600 championship at Hamlin because back then and actually still today, it is a separate division from the regulars. And back when I was doing it, it's actually really funny. A lot of the guys I was racing with now race sprint cars, late models, modifieds, and are really successful. So I kind of like looking back at that and seeing, the caliber of drivers I've kind of ran with my entire life. And, now in 2020, ended up getting in a non-wing sprint car with USAC East Coast. And really since then, we ended up acquiring our own stuff in 2021 and really have built up our race team enough to obviously this year go USAC national racing full time. And, now we're here.
Listen, I got questions, but there's a fight. They're fighting at where are they even racing tonight?
No, that's more important, honestly. I get it.
I think Skylar G. I have to see the replay, but my first initial thought was he screwed up and wrecked all these guys, and he's pushing and shoving other people. I don't. And then a crew guy, who's in the Newmeister 11 tonight?
I have no clue. I haven't watched any of it.
It's bad when the crew guys are going at it. It's like usually driver to driver, it's different, but when the crew guys are mad, that's not good.
Good time.
That one will be all over social media. Okay.
Joe, you ever get in a fight?
Well, I've been in my fair share of kerfuffles over the years. never really a bad, like a major one, but just the standard, yelling and screaming and get out of my pit.
You're young. It'll happen. Give it time.
Yeah, I'm sure it's coming.
So you mentioned one thing about some of the drivers you were racing with as you come up through. Who are some of the names you race with that are doing, whether it's sprint cars or other things?
Well, honestly, a few that come right off the top of my head, and it's actually, like you mentioned, Port Royal, Christian Bruno. I've raced with him since quarter midgets, and he's obviously one of the best 600 micro racers in the country, in my opinion, right now, even though he doesn't really get to travel too much out of the East Coast. I think if and I've said it for years, I think if he would get the opportunity to travel, he would be the winningest micro sprint driver in the country, hands down. And actually, his car owner is one of my sponsors, so we are very close tied with that whole group. Really, pretty much, I talk to them pretty much every day, and they tell me all the time they'd love to take him, they just can't for one reason or the other. But along with Bruno, another one who actually just got in a Wing 410s, Mike Thompson. He actually ended up winning a heat race Friday at the Grove, and that was really cool to see. He's been one of my best friends growing up. I'm trying to think of. There's so many guys who have kept the success, come and gone. Actually, another one that comes to mind, Briggs Danner. I grew up racing with him too. Actually, he was always a little older than me, so we didn't really race together that much in quarter midgets. But when we did, he was one of the guys to beat. So that's kind of been the story of his life, really, is being one of the guys to beat, which is not a bad thing at all.
Unless you're not him, you're finishing second, third, or fourth to him all the time. I mean,
I think it actually, and in a way, it makes racing guys like him and Alex Bright and those guys who win, and when we do win, obviously, Port Royal, I like to chalk up to a lot of luck. That was a lot of luck, and I know that. But last year, Delaware International, we won in October and dominated the whole race. We had a 4.5 second lead over Alex and Briggs. So it makes those wins that much better, knowing that, hey, we can and have beaten these guys. So it's we're not really that far off. But I think this year, we've definitely struggled a bit, and we were really good in Florida, and we started off really strong, led laps in Florida, got top 10, worst finish of 14th. We were really good, and then kind of once the regular season started, it's just been really rough. And I know a lot of that is growing pains, and because obviously, like I mentioned, my family has no racing background. So, we're all new at this, and to be 19 years old and, full-time on the USAC national tour with my family team is obviously something I'm very proud of. And,
That's awesome, yeah.
I recognize, how much effort my parents and the people around me have put into making our team what it is. And, I can't thank them enough, but it makes it, and I guess too, in a way, when we do good, it makes it so much sweeter knowing that this is my team in a way, and not obviously not that I wouldn't want to run for somebody else at all. I would, and actually I do have an opportunity in Indiana to run for somebody else for some local shows this year, which I'm real excited about. But when we succeed with, my car, it's a different kind of, gratitude feeling.
100%. I mean, it has to be, right? I would assume, you haven't lived the other side of it a lot. It's what you've known at this point, and what you guys have, like you said, there's no family history there. You kind of just from scratch and built and grew this thing. So a lot of pride in that. And you guys look, this is social media and things, pretty close family and traveling around the country. And, man, it's the dream for sure. So you're very fortunate. You're fortunate for sure, because that would be awesome.
I thank God every day. I get my hands and knees and thank him, because, I never thought, I wanted to be a race car driver since I knew it from day one when I was 5. This is what I want to do with my life. And I never, thought I would be where I am now at 19 to, say I'm a full-time national guy with, my family team, and we're on the road. I never really thought that would be in the cards for me. But that's why, even though we're struggling right now, I'm still, I look back every day and just think, wow, 4 years ago, I could barely hold the wheel straight. Now we're racing USAC national full time with the best guys in the country. And, that's something that I try to, pride myself with, because it is, whether people realize it or not, these guys are tough. It is, this is the world of outlaws of non-wing racing. They're the best in the business for a reason. And, it's very humbling too. And it just shows me in good ways how much more I have to learn as a driver and how much more we can grow as a team. And, that's something I actually really look forward to.
Yeah, I want to get into that a little bit, right? Because I've kind of heard you talk. I watch your social media and kind of when you're struggling and hey, this didn't go well. We didn't have speed. We didn't have that. I feel like from me looking the outside in, like, damn, dude, don't be so hard on yourself because you are racing the best in the world at that discipline, and you're 19, and you haven't been doing this that long at this level. Like, you take the good nights, and they're the good nights, but
Mm-hmm.
in that world, not those good nights can be far and few between until 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in potentially, right? It doesn't just happen. That's like the 1% of the 1%. So when I looked at from 1,000-foot view, cheering you on, rooting you on, and seeing what's going on, like I'm not putting the bar low, but at the same time, I'm not saying, hey, he's going to go win 20 races this season, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think but I get that, and I talk to other guys about that. We have a lot of young guys on this show that go through that career progression, and it's easy to get in your head about it. It's easy to get down about it because you're competitive. We don't show up to run
Absolutely.
7th, so you're competitive, and then that's got to be a hard thing to balance mentally when you get done that race, no matter where you finished, if it wasn't a win, and to get ready the next
Yes.
night to have that supreme confidence to know you're going to go do your best after you getting your butt kicked for a week, right? So, how do you manage that as a driver, as a young guy?
Well, so I kind of look at it like when we race with the national guys, like, yeah, we're getting, our asses handed to us. But at the same time, I think every single time we do, I've learned something. And I've learned, excuse me, how much harder can I push the car? What can we do different to the car to make it better here or there? And, one thing I've taken notice to as a driver, and it has shown this year, is just watching what these guys do and where they can put their cars. I always tell myself, they can do it. There's no reason I can't. And, that's how we end up like Circle City, prime example. The second night in the heat race, everybody's running the bottom. And I think we were running 5th. And I saw Swanson run the top once, and it looked like it had speed. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hammer the top and see if it worked. And it worked. I think we drove, not that it worked great because the track was pretty slicked off, but it worked good enough to get 3rd, which doesn't really matter in the heat race because it goes back on your time. But it's still the point that my whole goal, you never, at least in life too, like my parents always tell me, you never want to settle. And, in that instance, running the bottom, following a train was settling, and I needed to try something, and I did, and I found out more about my car and my ability and what I could do and what would work and not work. So, like, going into every race, I pretty much, with USAC National at least, my goal is obviously the goal is to win. But realistically, my goal is just, if I can take away, something positive every single night that I learned as a driver, that we learned on our car to, and just keep propelling our team forward. To me, that's a good night. And I think some of our results have showed that. Like, prime example, I'm really bad at time trials. Horrible. And I know that. But I think we've gotten me past that point of being timid in time trials to now, like Knoxville, prime example. First time ever there, we were 12th quick. And then the second night, we were 10th quick. To me, that was huge. Like, we say it all the time. We have the cars and the equipment and the capability to compete with these guys. It's just all about, for us right now, putting a night together. We got some work to do on our cars still. Obviously, I still have a lot to learn. Compared to a lot of these guys, I don't have a lot of laps, truthfully, because, the past few years, only really running USAC East Coast, they only run 20-ish races a year. And, to me, that's not a season. To me, like, a good year to learn, you got to run at least 50 times. And that's kind of what we're doing this year. Like, we started running some local shows in Indiana. Like, we ran Putnamville about 3-4 weeks ago, and actually went 10th to 3rd in the feature. We were really good, and I was really happy about that. And, those guys are just as tough as national. Like, your top 5 local Indiana guys win national races. So, like, it's not like that was a race that I didn't learn anything still. Like, obviously brand new track, learn the track, and learn the drivers and what they're doing, where they put their cars. And then the second week we went, we won the heat race, actually dominated the heat race. We were really good. And then the feature kind of struggled, started second, got the lead for about a corner and a straightaway, and then ended up getting passed. And from there, kind of just, I made a couple mistakes. I actually ended up popping the curb, and the curb at Putnamville is no joke. It is literally built into the track. And if you hit it the wrong way, you are hopping it. There is no saving your car. So I'm glad I landed, to be quite honest. So, and then the only fallback, I think I fell back to third when I did that, and then I made another mistake going into 3 just because my head was like, oh my God, hit the gas, and just overdrove the with the car. But fell back to 5th. But still, even then, like, learned a lot. And each night for us is learning right now, and with the 410 stuff. East Coast, we have a little different of a mentality, because now at East Coast we're not expecting top 5. We're expecting wins and podiums. That's pretty much our expectation. And obviously Port Royal is huge. It was great to get the win out of the way early in the season, because I know that I actually go back and watch that race probably once a week, just because I not even because it's me, just because it's an entertaining race.
It was so good.
It was highly entertaining.
It's just entertaining to watch. Like I tell my I have a few friends from my town, and I was showing them, and they're like, "That's you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me, but don't think it's me. Like, just watch the cars. Like, just watch it as like a regular race." And they're like, "This is awesome."
I was standing there with my camera, like I wasn't even taking pictures. I was like just smiling, like this is awesome. Like I was on the front stretch, and I was like, this is great. I was loving it. So I want to talk about that, and I'm gonna let Jimmy and Chris get into Eastern Storm a little bit. Some questions there. That night at Port Royal, obviously, listen, we all know the story, right? The top 2 took themselves out. You said, yeah, you got lucky, but look, you were in a position to get lucky. If you're running 9th, it doesn't matter what the first 2 did. You weren't. But that battle, after talking, you mentioned Christian Bruno and how close you are with him. Where were you going to draw the line between, hey, I like this guy, he's a friend, sponsors on my car, and I'm going to go win this race? Where did you, like, as you're doing it and you're throwing these bombs, how far were you willing to go?
Well, I think we kind of both, I mean, obviously as a racer, there's no friends on the racetrack ever. You can be family, and there's still, and you can take each other out. Like if that was my mom, I would race her just as hard. But like we kind of both knew. I don't know. You definitely can't see it on TV, but like when we were drag racing down the backstretch next to each other for the first time, we kind of looked at each other, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but we definitely both had that question of who's lifting first, and I kind of nodded, I'm not lifting. And obviously the battle ensued from there. But no, it's definitely, when you're in that position to win, obviously you're and he was the same way. You're putting your all into that race. Now, if you're running 15th, there's no need to drive that hard. But like for that, especially at Port Royal, like I kind of thought my exact thoughts in my head on the restart after Alex and Briggs wreck were, we are winning this race no matter what. And
hell yeah.
And that's I think, honestly, I think Bruno ran a 95% perfect race. His only mistake, and actually we talked about it, was on the final restart. He ran the slider line 3 times. And I knew he was going to keep doing it, so I just ran the top, and that's how I got a run on him, and ended up getting the lead finally. But other than that, I mean, it was pretty much slide job after slide job continuously. And I think I told Steve O'Neill in Victory Lane when he congratulated me, I'm like, please make the track like this for Eastern Storm. You will have the best race of the year. I don't care about week. You will have race of the year if the track is like this for the national guys. Because honestly, I say it all the time. Port Royal is I think in my eyes, the most prestigious track to win at in Pennsylvania. I think the facility is beautiful. It's an awesome place to go to. When you go there, they're happy you're there.
Yeah.
And I think, I think obviously all the hype and everything around that is 100% warranted, because it's just such a cool place. And, to say I won there, even if obviously it wasn't the big 410 series, but just to say I won at Port Royal is something really special to me, and something obviously I'll never forget. Because I'm pretty sure I'll watch that race at least once a year until the day I die. It is just entertaining, and actually I tell my friends who aren't into racing, I'm like, if you want to watch a race, watch this. You will be entertained. It doesn't matter who you are, you will be entertained. And I think the guys announcing that night too actually made it even more exciting, because I think Earl was about jumping out of the booth at one point.
He may have actually jumped out the window.
It was, they made it just that more exciting. So I think, obviously, I guess to go back to your question, it's just, everything's on the line, and, friends, family, whatever, you are racing selfishly, you're racing for yourself. And at the end of the day, you want that trophy or check or whatever. And, I just think, that having that mentality is how you win races. Because if you think like, oh, he's my buddy, I can't push it this hard, I don't want to get into him, you're not going to win. And, I've said that with anything.
Jimmy, Chris.
I have a quick question for you. So, USAC East Coast, they made an announcement that they're going to 410s next year, or going to allow 410 motors. Do you think I think it's good for the series. I have thoughts, but how do you feel about that?
So I think it's good for the series selfishly, because I have more 410s and 360s. But I think it's also good just because it's going to allow for more guys out west to run with us. Like that Williams Grove $5,000 to win race. If that was 410s, I bet you some national guys would have ran it.
Yeah.
And now at the same time, though, I do understand why the 360 guys are frustrated, because a lot of these guys, have put money into their engines to make them better, to compete more. And now they were basically told, hey, we're just opening it up. So I see both points. However, at the same time, we're going to run our 360 still more than we will with the 410 with East Coast, because 90% of the tracks they go to, you don't need it.
Right.
You really don't. I can tell you, Clinton County, I wish I had a 305 because you don't need anything at Clinton County. I think my 600, actually, I'm pretty positive when Speed Week for 600s was there last year, they were turning faster lap times than we were when we were there. I might need Nick Philman to quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure they were. So, but it's just, obviously it's a catch-22, because, now everyone's going to say you're getting outmotored. But truthfully, I can tell you, as a 410 person, we're taking 200 horsepower out after hot laps. Immediately. It's immediately taken out of the car, because you don't need 950 horsepower at realistically any track except Port Royal if it rains, or Pittsburgh Motor Speedway if it rains. And that's, that's just my opinion on it. I mean, I think it'll be good for the series, because I don't want the series to die. And I know car count not been good this year. But I know this is wing country, but I think there's a place for non-wing here. I think there's too many tracks to not have a non-wing deal here.
Yep.
Hence why, I'm kind of expecting this week for Eastern Storm, I think 25, 30 cars every night, just because I know there's 23 full-timers. And I know a few, I know a few East Coast guys who are going to run, some races. And, I'm pretty sure, you'll get some boss guys to run Williams Grove, Port Royal, that kind of deal. And then obviously with the Silver Crown, you get some Silver Crown guys to run their sprint car as well. But, I think there's a lot of opportunity for there to be non-wing racing in Pennsylvania and just on the East Coast in general. And I think the way engines and everything's going, we talked to our motor builder. If I wanted a brand new top of the line 360, it's $2,000 cheaper than getting a top of the line brand new 410.
Right.
Why would I buy a 360?
Right.
So it's just, I think the way things are, and honestly, whether some people would like to admit it, I bet you some of these wing guys have had it in the back of their mind that, hey, I want to try non-wing.
Mm-hmm.
Just to try it and see. So I think it'll open that opportunity up too. So I think it's going to be personally good for the series, and I think it's what the series needs to survive, because 360s are pretty much gone. To put it in perspective, I've been trying to sell one for a year, and I can't sell it. So that pretty much tells me everything I need to know.
Right. No, I agree with you on all those points. That's why I think it's good for the series. Yeah, I'm sure it's a little more expensive, but I think it opens up an opportunity to help build the series up. And I don't know how you feel about this, but like how we have posse versus outlaws. You have your local guys that are going to defend turf when the big guys come in. I would like to see, maybe a little bit more of a rivalry with our guys when USAC comes in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and I think you could totally do that. Like, a lot of people have actually, told me this year that, like, hey, you're the first Pennsylvanian to go on the road with USAC, and I didn't realize that. And I think that is because of USAC East Coast. Without USAC East Coast, I'd be a wing guy, or I'd race a modified. That's just truthfully how it would be.
Do you think, speaking of that, do you think like Briggs Danner and Alex Bright, if they had the opportunity, a full-time 410, and all the things aligned, do you think they would jump at the opportunity to run full-time on the road?
Absolutely. I mean, I guess Alex, knowing Alex personally, I don't know, because I know he started a business and everything recently, and I know that's taken off for him well. So I don't know more so about. I'm sure he would. I mean, honestly, I'm 90% sure he would. Briggs, I also don't know. I'm sure he would too, but I know he also runs a family business, and I obviously family comes first. But I'm sure if somebody told him, hey, we're going on the road, he would absolutely do it, because Briggs, I think, is obviously one of the most talented sprint car drivers in the country right now, at least non-wing, because he can, or really anything, he pretty much hop in a car and be fast.
Yep.
Right off the bat. So, and the same thing with Alex. So I think if they had the opportunities, they absolutely would. Which, also thinking about that makes me more grateful for my opportunity, because I know obviously there are better people out there than me who have the opportunity, but just or not have the opportunity, but or don't have the opportunity. And I'm grateful that I get to learn and make myself better with these guys, where others can't, and they have to rely on what they can do. So that just makes me, at the end of the day, more grateful for what I have.
Yeah, and I wasn't really kind of getting at that, like, oh, PA,
No,
but
I know what you meant. Yeah,
that there's PA representing Pennsylvania, right? Like,
Yeah.
if we're going to do that ever, like, either those guys defend the turf or they go be with it, like kind of like we're talking with you, and there's enough. Those are obviously the banner guys in that division, the East Coast division, and they both have run wing and they've done a million other things. But yeah, like if that 410 obviously coming next year and they continue to stay and run that full-time East Coast, that does become that then, right? So if they're full-time East Coast guys, they're putting 410s in it. Our national tour comes to town, is it us against them a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
I kind of dig it for sure. I just hope I hope the car counts stay alive, that it's worth the series staying alive.
And I kind of know, like, at least I've kind of always, like, last year Eastern Storm, I treated it was like, all right, this is our home turf. Like, these guys are coming here. We got to do good. So I think that's in the back of everyone's mind anyway already. It's just not really publicized, which is fine. Obviously, there's no real non-wing PA posse. I mean, there should be, in my opinion, and there could be. And I think making it 410s will open that up. But I think it's going to do way more good than bad for it. Even, I know some of the guys I race with are probably hearing me right now and rolling their eyes, but I think it's going to do more good than harm, because it's going to open it up. You're opening opportunity to, prime example, a guy like Ricky Lewis. He goes everywhere and races. He follows the money, and he'll be a guy that he sees $5,000 USAC East Coast. I am going. So I think I think for it to even gain one car, in my eyes, would be that it was successful.
Chris, you got anything?
I was just gonna say, so Joey, we talked about the idea of getting it to be this is wing country. How do we get fans to buy into the non-wing stuff, or do you feel that's growing, whether it be USAC East Coast or Wingless Sportsman, whatever it may be? How do we get fans to want to go spend $30 at a USAC show?
Selfishly, watch Port Royal.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, I agree to that, right?
I literally tell people, if you want to watch a good non-wing race, or like in Pennsylvania this year, watch Port Royal. I mean, even when Briggs and Alex were racing, it was still great. Just watch Port Royal and you'll see why. Because I said it for years, and I've ran a wing car, so I kind of know non-wing racing is better. I'm just gonna say it. Non-wing racing, 9 times out of 10, I think is better, just because there's way more, mistakes being made, and I think those mistakes is what creates better racing. Where like the wing guys, I noticed once you get in a rhythm, at least with a wing on, you're kind of in that rhythm the whole time. Where non-wing, it can change instantly in a split second. Like prime example, last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago, Williams Grove, Justin Grant was leading, and on the last corner, hopped the curb and about spun out, and that race could have completely changed in an instant. You don't really see that as much with a wing on, just because those guys, obviously are super smart and great at what they do, but that's also the problem, is that they're super smart and great at what they do. So I think non-wing has a little more, hands put in the driver per se. Obviously you still need a really good car, but I think, to make a mistake in a non-wing car is, in my opinion, especially after driving a wing 410, easier than it is to make in a wing 410.
That's an interesting, and listen, I'm a wing guy, always been, but I admire the hell out of the wingless guys, and I appreciate what you guys have to do to make the car be fast, and then that consistency. So, like, I go watch a lot of, like, I don't seek out wingless races unless it's already there with a wing and this coming weekend. Like, I'm not going to Port Royal this weekend to watch the 410 show. Yeah, it'll be a 410 show, but I'm going for you guys, the Eastern Storm and Silver Crown.
Mm-hmm.
There's not that many times that happens. I went to Williams Grove Friday because y'all were on the card. I didn't really have to go. I went because y'all were on the card, and obviously I'm a wing guy, but like that was like that in second division incentive. I'm like, yeah, I'm going.
Yeah.
What's cool about that is, you tried the wing a time or two, and we saw you at Bridgeport last year, and that was an adventure to say the least.
Yeah.
So
that didn't go well
I mean,
at all. Actually, which time did you see me at Bridgeport?
Time trials, and then when you were 14 or 18 feet in the air.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, yeah, that wasn't good. So I guess a little story behind that. We actually blew up the night before in practice, and whoever was in Bob's car actually ended up not running for whatever reason, and he's like, "Here, hop in my car." And that car, obviously, real grateful to him for letting me run his car. And I think at some point I'll run his car this year a little bit, but it wasn't set up for me, I think, yet, because it was a little bumpy in time trials. Not in a bad. Well, we were a little bumpy, but the heat
found all the bumps.
Yeah,
if there were bumps, you found all the damn bumps, Joey.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the heat race I kind of just wanted to run the bottom and survive, because it didn't really matter. And then I don't know what happened. I just saw God. And I'm like, okay, we're up here now. I'll tell you what, though, I'd flip a wing car any day of the week versus a non-wing car, because my God, does it not hurt as bad. I got out of that thing. I'm like, okay, that was something. I'm in the ambulance, literally yelling at the EMTs. I'm like, I have to get to my other car. I'm the first heat race out. Please get me out of the infield right now. But with that though, like I love wing racing. I think it's badass, everything about it, and I have a lot of respect for those guys, because even though I think non-wing racing is better more times than not, driving a wing car is still super technical, and you have to put your car in position to do anything. Like dirty air, is the most insane thing I've ever felt in my entire life. That is the weirdest feeling, going in the corner, floored, chasing someone, but you're not chasing them, and hoping your car is going to stick. Then it does. So it's definitely, like when I tell people like about winged and non-wing, I tell them like they're two, even though they're the same chassis and car, they're not the same remotely. They're two completely different race cars, two completely different driving styles. Everything about them is different. So, that little bit of winged experience I did, obviously it was really cool. And, I want to do some more wing stuff, but obviously right now we're really focused on our non-wing program because, with everything going on, we want to focus on it. But no, the wing stuff is just, I love going to wing races sometimes, because just, at least in Pennsylvania, when you go to a wing race, even if the race isn't that good, being a fan is awesome. Like, just the fans in PA are insane. Like, I went to Lincoln with one of my crew guys in March every weekend. I'm like, this is badass. Like, just sitting in the infield and having a good time. And I think that makes up sometimes for, a lackluster race. It's just going to a race and having a good time with your friends, your family, and everything else. And it's nice to kind of just go watch every now and then, and not stress out, just sit back, have a drink, and, do nothing.
Sometimes, over the years when I drank more, last couple of years I haven't, but the best races I never saw were when I was drinking, and they're the best nights. It could have been the shittiest race that's ever happened, and I was like, that was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for sure. So talk about Eastern Storm a little bit here coming up, and last year you ran Kutztown, and you were part of that deal. Did you run your 360, or did you have the 410 in it?
We had the 410, and actually, last year Eastern Storm, I really try to forget, because we actually ended up having a hurt motor the whole time, and that didn't help. We bought a motor and we had it freshened up, and it broke a roller lifter or lifter roller night one, and it never ran right. And then actually for Kutztown, we went home and swapped cars and finally brought the backup car out, and we were way better. But I can tell you, Kutztown with a sprint car, 360, 410, it's something. I don't know what it is, but it's just, as a driver, you don't know what's happening. It all happens so fast. Like, you hit the gas, you turn, you hit the gas, you turn, and doing that with 24 other cars is pretty sketchy there. Actually, like when we ran there with East Coast last year, it was actually got the lead and then got jumped the next corner and flipped, just because you're running so close together. If guy makes a mistake behind you, they are hitting you. There is no avoiding the contact.
The fact that race went green to checkered last year is absolutely astounding.
I couldn't believe it. I finally, it's actually so funny. I finally started feeling good and passing cars. Like, I started 19th, I got up to 11th, and I caught the battle from 6th to 10th, and they were all bunched together. I'm like, all right, we're gonna blow by these guys. And then the checker came out. I'm like, what? I'm like, seriously, it's over? like I finally get fast and it's over? What is happening right now? But Kutztown is just, there's not a lot of races I'd like to say I'd rather be a fan at.
But that would be one.
That would be one, because it's probably awesome to watch as a fan. As a driver, it is nothing but chaos, because you have to look down, straight, to the left, to the right. Like, honestly, at one point, I was looking through the infield, checking if there was a wreck on the front stretch. Because if there is, you have to check up now, because it's just that tiny.
Crazy. Time trials looked like a handful. It was a lot of grip. It was heavy. It was manageable, but it still looked very difficult. Single car by yourself trying to make a fast lap. It looked awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool doing time trials. And obviously, obviously I'm not trying to down talk it at all. Like, it is a cool event, and Doug does a really good job at Action Track. Obviously, I ran 600s there for years, and I've seen how the track has grown over the years, and it's cool to see how successful it is. Just because, like, even for a regular night there, you go there are 600 racing. There's 60 cars on a Wednesday. So like the prestige of action track that's been built over the years in any division, I think is something cool, and it's something that the fans, like when they go and see sprint cars, it's like, wow, we're seeing sprint cars at action track. Like this is awesome. Like it feels like it's not, just another race. It's something special. So that's something definitely I'm looking forward to Sunday, and hopefully we time trial good, because if you don't time trial good, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Track position matters a lot. I have one
Oh
last
my
question.
God, yeah. It's so crucial there, and the way our invert works, it's so confusing sometimes. So like, I'm really hoping if I could just get top 10 in time trials, that should pretty much put me in a good spot for having a good solid top 10, top 5. And I was telling somebody earlier today, I'm like, the goal of action track is just survive, because stuff will happen this year. Because I think another reason too it went so smoothly last year is it was a non-points race.
Oh, that's
That's
right.
not the case.
Yeah.
It's a
You
point.
guys only got like 21 cars, right, or something like that. It was
2021. But
That's
this year it's points. So
Yeah.
I think you're going to see more guys, doing stuff, and I think that's going to make it more exciting. I definitely, maybe I'll be wrong. I definitely think there's going to be at least one caution. I don't think it goes.
Wow, you
40
went
laps.
out there on
I
that
think
one.
it's 50 laps this year, actually.
we had a red flag in time trials and not even a yellow in the feature. So there's that.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, but
So one last question for me, and I'll let these guys finish up with you. Of the Eastern Storm, the whole tour, what's the one race you would want to win of all of them?
Bridgeport.
Tell me why.
We just run good there, and Bridgeport's been a track of mine that I've really liked over the years, and I think out of every track, that's our best shot at winning is Bridgeport. Bridgeport, Bridgeport, pretty much Bridgeport. I like to win them all, but if I had to choose one, it would definitely be Bridgeport. It's just badass. Everything. Like if Doug gets that track right and there's a cushion or just some moisture or whatever, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be slide job central. If you watch any USAC East Coast race there, when the track's in good position, it's badass. So
yeah. That is for me. I know that's one I'm not going to be able to get to, and that is the one I would really would want to go see, because the wingless run so well there.
Yeah,
track is just awesome.
And with it being formed after Lawrenceburg in a way, first off, I do want to say it's nothing like Lawrenceburg. Lawrenceburg is its own beast, and it's quite honestly something I don't know how to describe. But Bridgeport in my eyes is a better Lawrenceburg, because I think there's more opportunities to race, and when you get racing with guys, I've been 4 wide there before racing cars, and nobody touching or wrecking or anything. So it's just, I think Bridgeport's a really good racetrack, and I think honestly, for race of the, if you had to choose a race of the week, you're gonna be fighting between, exclude Kutztown in that, because that's just crazy. So from your 5 your 5 standard days, or more standard tracks, I would say it's either going to be Bridgeport or Port Royal that puts on the best show, just because that's statistically how it goes. But I definitely think look for Bridgeport to be a race, obviously not to miss, but definitely you're going to see probably some of the best racing of the week.
I have one last question. So, other than you, who's some guys that we wouldn't think about that we should keep our eyes on this week?
Oh, that's a good one. Who do I race with that's really good? Everybody. To answer that question, definitely Pursley. Pursley's been really strong lately in everything. Obviously on the East Coast side, Alex and Briggs, and actually Dravicki too. I know he's running. I think he'll be really good at Grandview, to be quite honest, because he's always been notoriously good there at East Coast. And as long as Who else is running? Man, now you got me thinking.
That's what I try to do.
Because, I don't want to say guys like Justin and Brady because, everyone knows they're going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, Persley, Dravicki, Logan, Stevie's been really good this year. Carson Garrett, he's another one that's been really fast. And, obviously he's, with having CJ Leary as your teammate definitely helps him because watching his progression from racing with him, his racecraft is really good right now, and I love racing with Carson because he's super clean, super nice to talk to, nice guy, and he'll race you hard, won't wreck you, so he'll definitely be one to watch. And really just I mean, if I had to say it, everybody's good. It's super hard to pick out.
So, one guy I want to ask you about, and I'm curious because whenever I do watch the national tour, this guy many nights just stands out to me as like he's a gasser. He'll win a race. Like he kind of reminds me of Sheldon in a way. Is Kyle Cummins? Am I right on that? Does that make like a comparison make sense a little bit?
Kyle's awesome. First of all, awesome person, and I talk to Kyle a lot at the racetrack. Nicest guy. I don't know. I mean, obviously he's one of the best at what he does, and he's definitely on the gas, and he's one of the guys I actually, if I'm racing around Kyle, I'm looking at what he's doing because he's very smart and methodical with finding moisture, and that's another thing in a non-wing car. We have no wing, so we have no downforce. It's whoever really non-wing racing can be summed up as whoever finds the moisture. And, Kyle's really good at that. So I think that assessment's probably right. Like, I definitely think he's going to at least get 3 wins this year, in my opinion. I think he's already won at least one, I think. I'm pretty positive he's won at least one. And, just definitely somebody definitely somebody to look for.
He just always kind of stood out to me maybe it's just a bullring thing that like he's a guy that
obviously look at him for Kutztown. He is the bullring king. Like, I mean,
maybe that's what just jumps out.
Yeah, like obviously Hopstott, track champion for however long. I mean, he's definitely a guy like. Honestly, he's probably, besides me, my pick to win Sunday at Kutztown because he actually is the defending winner of Kutztown. So.
On the opposite side of that, the half-mile king. Is it Logan Seavey at this point?
Logan
like,
or
is
Justin?
He that guy?
That's Logan or Justin. Because, last year when Emerson was running still, he was really good at the half miles. But, I mean, Logan's obviously really good at the half miles. So is Justin. So I think it's a toss-up between one of those two right now. And, I mean, and with half miles, we don't go to them a lot. As crazy as that is for me, because all I know is half miles. But I think probably leaning more towards Logan right now because we also actually my crew guy Zach used to work for Logan, so when we go to the racetrack, we park with them a lot, and I kind of see how their operation goes and everything, and how their night's going and whatever, and Logan is. Like, I've talked to him a bunch, and the way he talks and the way he thinks and explains how he drives on a half mile is very methodical, and it's very, honestly, super impressive to me. And, and he is one of the guys that I look up to, along with Justin Brady and the rest of these guys when, wanting to and learning how to drive these cars. So I think definitely Logan or Justin, I think, are probably my 2 picks to win on the half miles if I can't win. Right now, and where honestly I think overall though, I think right now the person who is pretty good everywhere is Brady Bacon. He's pretty good on short tracks, big tracks, wherever. I mean, when Brady shows up and pulls his car out, he has a shot to win every single week, no doubt about it. And I think that's definitely got something. For him, I'm sure he doesn't boast or anything, but he should definitely be, obviously proud of himself that he's gotten to a point that you can roll your car out every night and say we can win, And that's what I'm striving for as a driver, to pull the car out every night and say not say we can win, but know we have a shot to win. So I think Brady right now, honestly, in my opinion, is one of the few guys that can say that every night.
That's awesome. Now, listen, I'd have a million of these questions because I'm intrigued by that roster. I'm intrigued that every time I watch them, who's going to be the guy, and it seems to be a revolving door. There's top 4, 5, 6 guys on any given night, and they can all be there some nights. And I know that's where you're going to end up. I've seen you even in the last 2 years really progress.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Like I know you drive hard, but sometimes driving hard isn't always the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're finding that line between driving really hard and then making speed while driving hard, or backing it down to make speed. That's that maturation, I think, and just having seat time and having laps and emulating what these other guys are doing and going, damn, they're not carrying the front as hard as I am or pitching the car as hard as I am, and they're faster. What do I need to do differently, right? So
Yep.
I think that just comes with that experience and time. And I saw it this weekend in Williams Grove. When there was time to drive it hard, you drove it hard. When there was a time to run the middle, I saw you kind of slow the car down and get the car under you and go through the middle. So, I think that it's been fun to watch kind of your progression, and this is a big step. And honestly, if you have the ways and means and your family supports you and you can go travel, why not go with the best? Knowing you're going to get your balls kicked in a couple months or not, but you're going to get better. And is that kind of what the plan was, even starting the season? Like, why not? Let's go race with the best and see what happens.
Pretty much. And like, I knew going into this was going to be my learning year to pretty much figure out if I can drive a race car or not. And I think we've shown, we can, and what our potential is. And, like Williams Grove, I don't know what happened. Like our heat race, we dominated the heat race. And then the feature, we were horrible. To my East Coast standard, we were terrible. And but at the same time though, you're going to have those nights where, you just completely miss it. And that's okay. And just like with these national guys, they've definitely humbled me in a good way, because it like you said, there's so much I still have to learn, because, I try to not compare myself to other guys, because I've learned over the years, I'm not as naturally talented as a lot of these guys are. But when I learn it, I can retain it, and I know what I'm doing. And, I think in a way that's more rewarding than, just waking up in the morning and being Kyle Larson. Because
I don't know, man. Listen, I would give that a shot someday.
Well, yeah,
I definitely would rather. I want to try the Kyle Larson
side of it for a minute or two. Like, I'd be okay with that for just a minute or two.
But like, that just makes, for me, like, our wins, like Port Royal this year, it makes it so much more gratifying that, I've worked at this and made myself better to the point where, we're beating these guys who were born with that natural ability. And, I think too, just like you said, seat time, like, Dason, obviously he's the same age as me, but, he gets to run a midget. He gets to run, way more sprint car races. He runs a 600 all the time. Like, I don't have the opportunity to run as many races as he does. And, I try to always keep that in the back of my mind that, even though I'm 19, there's kids younger than me now who are, running midgets, sprint cars, whatever. I'm still not as experienced as a lot of these guys, because truthfully, the past, 2021 and 2022, I only ran about 30 sprint car races total, because all we really did was USAC East Coast. 2022, we ran 4 nights of Eastern Storm and 4 boss shows. So really, until last year, we made the big step. Obviously, we went to Florida last year for the first time. That was really cool. And then did Eastern Storm, did Sprint Week. And it was really actually at the end of Sprint Week. Or not, I'm sorry, not at the end of Sprint Week. It was after Kokomo. Kokomo, we went from the C main, made it from that, or won the C main, started, I think, dead last in the B main, and I drove dead last to 7th and missed the qualifying spot by 0.02 of a second to Pursley. But I think I had to pass like 12, 13 cars just to get there. So, and I remember actually pulling off the track and looking at my dad, and because we were kind of debating on going to SmackDown or not. And I'm like, Dad, we are coming to SmackDown. Like, we will qualify for SmackDown if we come. And well, the first night of SmackDown, first thing we do is win a heat race, and lock right into the show. And I think we finished 8th that night, or for one of the prelim nights, and then ended up making the big race on Saturday, and ended up finishing. I think we started 15th and finished 15th, which for me, first time going to SmackDown, which is in my opinion USAC's biggest race of the year.
Yep.
Was huge because we came into town, only ever ran here once, didn't even make the show, won a heat race, made a prelim night, made the big race, top 15. So that kind of, the talks of going USAC National kind of started after that because, my dad and I were talking, and he's like, Joe, he's like, I'm pretty sure, like, I think you can go do it and be successful. And obviously that, led us to where we are today. And, the success has been, very thin this year, but we have made gains every night. Like I think, well, actually up until the second night in Knoxville, we didn't have a single DNF. And, that's the biggest thing for me is finishing races. Every single lap is a lap I can learn, and that's the only way to get better. And, running, the only other way to get better is to run with the best of the best. And at least I felt like, in my career, if I wanted to continue pursuing non-wing racing, that's what we had to do. Because, as much as I love USAC East Coast and everything and what we built back home, they're not national. They're not the national guys. The national guys are the guys doing this every single day as their living. So they just have a different mindset and different caliber. And, that's why they're the national guys, is because that is their job. And I think that's been more beneficial than anything. And I definitely think too, like, with that, already running national for the little time I have has opened up more opportunities for me, because we were only in Indiana for about a month, and I got a phone call one day with a local car owner asking me if I'd be interested in running his car at Putnamville and Bloomington for local nights. So, and that's obviously my goal as a driver, is to make this my job. And having other people now calling me, asking me to run their car, I think is a step in the right direction for me. And, that's kind of what the ultimate goal is for me, is to just be able to do this as my full-time living. And I kind of knew that the only way to do that was to go USAC National.
See, you and Kyle Larson have that in common. People call him to drive the cars. So
yeah, that's true. No, that was.
Hey, I
that
appreciate
was
your time.
for me.
I appreciate your time. We'll let Jimmy get you out of here, man.
Yeah. Joey, thank you so much. We have you on for about an hour now, and just really, really interesting conversation. And we wish you the best of luck here for Eastern Storm and the rest of the USAC season here. Before we go, you want to let us know, give a shout out to the guys, all your partners and everybody that helps you get up and down the road.
Absolutely. Obviously, first and foremost, I can't thank JPA Masonry and Amantea Real Estate, my parents, enough for everything they've done for me. Without them, I wouldn't be where I am. And it's, because of them and them believing in me that I am where I am today. So I can't thank them enough. And Stinger Race Fuel has been a huge partner for us the past few years. Obviously, you need fuel to drive these race cars. And, having us be provided fuel from them has been a huge expense saved off of us. So I can't thank them enough. As for new partners, we got a couple this year. I'd like to thank Great Dane for coming on board. We've actually, had a personal connection to them for a while, and he actually, called us up one day and told me he wanted to sponsor my car. So I can't thank Mike at Great Dane enough for everything he's done. Kenny at National Waste Disposal came on board this year, another big help. And obviously, there's so many people who've helped me in my career. Pencil Enterprise has been with me since I was 5 years old. I can't thank Uncle Ed enough. Radical Race Gear has been getting me suits since 2011 now, so can't thank them enough either. And there's so many more that help us out that there's so many I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but they know who they are. And obviously another few guys I want to thank too are Brian, Zach, Dalton, and everyone else who comes on the road with us whenever they can, because this is obviously the driver in racing gets the most spotlight, but it's really a team sport. And without the guys behind the scenes, there is no driver and there's no car, because it's impossible to do this by yourself. Trust me, we tried for a few races, my dad and I, and we wanted to kill each other. By the end of the night, it's like, just load the car up, we're going home right now. And so, I can't thank those guys enough. And I know we're going through a really rough patch right now. So, but everyone's confidence is still up. Everyone still believes in me. So, I can't thank them enough. And, the fans, that's one thing I kind of noticed this year is we've sold a lot of merchandise this year. And that's been really cool for me to see, because, I never really, not that we didn't sell t-shirts or anything, but I never really thought we had too many fans. But, to go in Indiana now, and like when we went to Putnamville one night, it was like a whole group of kids wearing my shirt. And, I actually sat with them and through the B-main and just hung out with them. And that was super cool for me. And, the fans are really what makes racing work. Without them, there is no racing. So, I can't thank them enough.
Awesome. Well, best of luck this week. Represent PA well. Keep doing it out on the road too. And maybe we'll be seeing you in Victory Lane this week, hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be great. Because if you do see us in Victory Lane, we won't be leaving. We will probably bring the trailer into Victory Lane and just party for the rest of the night right there.
That sounds great.
So, but awesome. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, Joey.
Good luck this week.
Awesome. Joey's we knew, he's a character, and he's just got a good head on his shoulders, good young driver. Just a joy to talk to, and he's going places. He's really taking a lot of steps, just in 2 years, really. And now going out on the national tour, Liz, you heard him say, it's going to help him continue to get better, So, I'm excited to see what he can do this week at Eastern Storm. I think he can, he could battle for some wins at some of these tracks, because he's got laps at them, and he's really starting to come around.
I don't see how anyone watches that Port Royal race and doesn't go buy a T-shirt.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, he said in Victory Lane that night, but just the energy that he had in Victory Lane, and then just watching that race, go buy a T-shirt.
Absolutely. Yeah, and go to the track and talk to him this week. You'll see him, and he's obviously, you saw there, he's just fun to talk to.
Great kid.
So let's get into this past week of racing. We're going to start on Friday night at Williams Grove. Cam Smith gets his first 410 win at Williams Grove on Friday night. 21 410s, and obviously the USAC East Coast. It was a was it the first handicap night? It feels like it was the first one, because they keep doing time trials like every week, but this was just a straight handicap night, which saw a good mix. I thought you saw a lot of guys get some opportunities and actually turn some heads. We know Cam Smith is fast, just him and Freddie 1-2, and then Cody Hartlaub looked good in the 39. Your takeaways from this race on Friday,
Chris?
I think the whole night was fan appreciation night. Ron Rutherford and Mama's Pizza did a lot of promotion for this event going into it, so it was a great night. It was cool seeing Cam Smith get that first win. Freddie still come there, but I mean, Cody Hartlaub looked impressive with the Trone car. We talked last week about what that opportunity was, not only for him, but for them as well. And they had some speed there. And there was a time there, it looked like he was a real threat to win that race. Good night, the track. It's the handicap shows. I know we talked, time trials are probably the way moving forward for the most part, but it's still cool seeing these guys get new opportunities based on the handicapping through heats. Even if it's winning a heat, something like that, it's just something they can hang their hat on for the night.
Yeah, I mean, just a cool night all around. Cam Smith getting that win. I don't know if he was the fastest car at the end of that race, but he was in the right spot, and he did his job on that last restart with Freddie, in P2 there. And, even before the yellow, Cody was kind of running him down a little, and he was getting towards some more slower lap traffic. And then Freddie actually snuck by Cody, but phenomenal by Cam. He had a couple last year taken away at the end, wrecked it, one of them leading. So great victory lane. Love Cam. Tim Gladfelder and that whole deal. Pretty cool to see that car in victory lane. Cody, obviously, Cody Hartlaw, brand new car, put it together throughout the week, no laps on it, come out really great in a heat race. He did his job behind Bringone, didn't have to push it, knew he was in a transfer, just had to hang on. Borden got to him at one point, and then they got back by Borden and held on for the redraw spot there to be handicapped in the feature. Troy moved up through there. Obviously, Freddie did a little bit. Lance P6. It was kind of a quiet P6. I mean, for Lance, the way that track was, I don't know what I expected, but just a pretty good night all around. To be honest, Billy Dietrich P12 filling in for Danny there for the points.
Yep.
So that was cool to see him there and finish the race for sure. But I had a great night. It was fun. It was great, cool victory lane, something a little different. And congrats to Cam for sure.
Yeah. Another car that really turned my head all night and was Bryn Gone. He started out, was he on the pole of his heat race or was on the front row, won this heat race, and then he started on the pole and he hung up there. You see, sometimes with the handicap and you see guys start up front and kind of fall back. He held his own and was pretty fast. I mean, and I think he had a tire let go. He was running still top 10 at that point and led some laps, so really impressive. I was not expecting that personally. And so shout out to him. Chase Dietz broke a link. He was looking okay. It was cool to see like the mid pack being the guys that we used to seeing kind of battling it out up front. Not to take anything away from the guys that were up front, just seeing some pretty fast guys have to work with traffic and everything was fun. I do appreciate that Williams Grove didn't dick around too. I want to give the track a shout out. Everything was done at like 10 o'clock. It was just a good night. I had a great time, and we're going to talk a little bit about our excursion throughout the night. But just, it was like 8:15, and they're already starting to line up the feature. And I thought that was great. I wasn't bummed by that at all. You know what I mean? I think they didn't screw around. They went out, and you had two good features, and you were out of there by 10 o'clock.
The perfect time. Like it wasn't like it was rushed. I mean, obviously no cautions, no reds, or little cautions, no reds. But it wasn't like you were rushed around to do anything. But also it wasn't like you were standing like, oh, what the hell's going on? It was like the perfect amount of time to just have a good flowing night. And I think it's good to see. I mean, it helps when you don't have B mains, but just still, it was perfect. Perfect car counts and everything like that.
If you're going to have cars, not going to have the pit's full of cars, you better not screw around too. Right.
Yes.
So good on them. Like it was so nice to get out of the racetrack at a decent hour on the weekend for once. On a Friday night, right? They don't start till 7:30 in Williams Grove. We've talked about that a lot. Like they kind of do what they do, where Lincoln's moved up to 7, Port Royal's at 7 on a Saturday. They stick to their 7:30, and they had every opportunity to screw around, and they didn't, thankfully. And my sleep and really liked that for once. It was kind of nice.
Checker fell in the second feature, just before 10 o'clock?
Or right before 10 o'clock,
9:40. It was about an hour after, a total hour after the 410 was over. Because I think I texted my wife. It was like 8:46. The 410 feature had just ended.
Yep.
So about an hour total to get that done. Push off the USAC. I think they had a yellow. Get done. Victory lane. It was about 9:45.
Other takeaways from this 410 race. I mean, it was just nothing crazy.
It was 410 race.
It was a Williams Grove 410 race. Nothing bad about it. It was just, I had a lot of fun, and we're going to get into that here in a second because if you were following our social media on Friday night, we were in the infield, and Seth Dietrich was over there, and he wasn't working on a car because Ryan Newton did go back to Australia. If you're watching Ryan, hope everything's good over there.
Seth and a waste of space.
You both had sneakers on, and it's like, we're going to have an early night. Let's get out to the front stretch. Let's do this. And then all of a sudden, he was nowhere to be found.
You didn't want the smoke, man.
He won the smoke. But Chris did win a race, and we're gonna show this real here. We got to hang out with Brad Weatherby. We got to hang
race
out with
Brad
him.
in his wheelchair. You didn't race Brad.
That'd have been unfair. Brad would have won. He's stronger than me.
Yeah, you're gonna see how cheap Chris is here. So, Chris, you had your daughter there, brought her out for fan appreciation night. How was your experience with that as a father for a child? How did that go over for you?
That's pretty cool. I think that's the first time she got to go into the pits before the races. Usually, if we're there and it runs late, we either have to leave during the second feature or hustle out of there. So getting there early, got to go in, got to see some people. Got to see Troy Wogman and Kyle Keene. She was all about those guys. So they just seeing the cars, right? Seeing the guys. And of course, we're in a Kyle Keene shirt, so she was all about seeing that car. So, but after we got to him, she wanted a checkered flag, and she was done in the pits. But it was still good. She got there. USAC East Coast had their stuff, with your bunch of giveaways for the kids. I think she got some bracelets, checkered flag, crayons, all kinds of nonsense. Had her chips and popcorn from the Martins people, and so she had fun. So for me, it was good. It's definitely a draw for her. The only thing that would probably be a bigger draw would be fireworks. But it was a good night. I think it was well orchestrated. You go in there, and it feels short. Like I was talking with someone else there, 5:30. It's kind of a crunch. You're in there, you have 50 minutes, and you're like, that's not a lot of time. We walked all the way up in there, did that whole pit walk, and still had downtime. So it's ample time. Get through the gate, get in there. All the drivers, shout out to a lot of them out there at the cars, handing out hero cards or whatever it may be. That's what really makes those things cool. Not just having the cars sitting there and you can wander through, like the drivers being there, interacting with the fans and stuff like that. It all was good.
Yeah, I think about 50 minutes to an hour is a perfect time. If not, you're really dragging into the rest of the night.
Right. Especially on a Friday night. I think of more like a Saturday, like I know, but it's just you don't realize how much time that really is until you go there and do it, and you're like, wow, this was way more than enough time for some people that don't need to be in the pits to be in the pits.
Right. So, like I said, we got to hang out with Brad Weatherby and a couple other fans in the infield. It was really cool to just hang out, bullshit, talk racing, have a beer or two. And so Chris wanted to race so bad, and Seth was nowhere to be found. He ran away.
Lurking.
And so Chris had to race his daughter. And this is cheap.
Hey, no, it's not cheap.
We're going to show it here.
Go! This is what happens when Seth is too much of a bitch to race.
That's Brad there. Look at, she's smoking him, and here he comes.
Hey, car low, bud. Car low.
Chris had to win.
That wasn't even the dirtiest move of the night on her. I wrecked her in the heat race too.
So, and the thing is we raced on the front stretch years ago after, I don't know if it was Summer Nationals, Summer Nationals. You tried to do the same shit to me. You broke
a chassis that night.
You broke a chassis. All right.
Dude, I still have scars from that flip.
I bet you do. You took a nasty spill.
Brent
That's
Mark's
what you get for trying to.
Hey,
That's what you get for trying to wreck me.
Rubbin's racing.
We lost anyway. We got smoked. That race that night. It was like six of us. There's a bunch of college kids.
That dude had a.
Then you got me and you. We were like, those guys were like picking their things up and leaving already, and we still weren't even to the finish line. So
right.
Fun night though at Williams Grove. Always have a fun time there. Great people. It's a great atmosphere all the time.
But when you see Seth Dietrich next, anyone just throw stuff at him.
Yeah, make sure you hound Seth because we had our great opportunity to finally have this foot race.
I'll be there again Friday. If he wants to smoke then,
we'll
do it. He's been trying to fight me at Lincoln, Port Royal, wherever it is. I told him front stretch Williams Grove. I was in turn 4. You saw the pictures. I was there.
So, Seth, if you're watching, Friday night, don't tell me you got to go to bed. Oh, it's past your bedtime or anything.
We will get permission from your dad to let you race.
Yes. Get your ass. We'll meet after final victory lane and the track opens up. Turn 4, light pole. to the front stretch. We'll meet you there. Don't wuss out. Maybe we'll try to do something for charity. We're still trying to figure out a way to do this and try to maybe raise some money for some charity. We're going to try to brainstorm on that this week. But yeah. Brad talked to Seth 10 minutes before that happened. He was hanging out and he's like, oh, I got to go. And
he knew he was in danger. He didn't want to get beat by an
to
old
be
dude.
fair, I think he was trying,
Oh yeah,
he had a lady friend
he didn't want to be embarrassed by an old dude. I get it.
I'll give him that. I understand how that goes. So
I am.
Aunt Bay. Hi, Chris.
If Aunt was there, Seth would have raised.
Mandy says fan appreciation night is always an awesome time. It really is, and I feel like that it shouldn't just be a one night a year type of deal. I think that should be 2, 3, 4 times.
I think they said they're doing it again.
I think they do. I do think they
they're
do.
Doing it in August for the backstretch pits, which is a 358 night. They said I heard them say, so that's interesting.
I think you don't want to spoil yourself, and you do want to still make it special, but I don't think just one night a year when you race from February to November is, I think you could do, I think it is fair to do a couple more. Steph goes, next time you have to race Chris, I'll teach you some kung fu moves. He already knows. Trust me. He knows every dirty trick there is in the book when you're trying to race
you, Jimmy. But the problem is, Steph, Jimmy can't keep up anymore.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you're right. All right, my bad. I read that wrong. Yeah, I probably need them because he'll try to clean
I'll
me
be
out.
gone before you even know where you're at, Jimmy.
Yeah. I know Brad was adamant about this when we talked on Friday night. He thought it should have been 358s and 410s. I get it, but if you're saying that they're doing another fan appreciation night with the 358s, I think that's
pretty sure
good.
I heard that on the loudspeaker. It was another one with 358s the nights that they're there. Backstretch bids.
Good. And listen, USAC East Coast was a great feature. They're always really good there, and I'm really excited for USAC coming up this week, which we'll get into a little bit more later. Briggs Danner got the win there. That was a pretty good feature. Fast guys were just ripping that cushion. They seemed to be entering high, coming in, and then kind of just making their straightaways really, really long. Briggs Danner was doing it. Alex Bright had issues early in the night. They had to change a motor before the heat. Did he even make it out for the heat? I don't think he made it out for his heat.
No.
They didn't
have another motor with them. They had to go get one. They had to go pick it up at Kurt Michael's shop and bring it back and put it in. They didn't even have one on them.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I have pictures of them. I heard the story, and I talked to Nate, works on the crew of the 27 there. I saw him at Lincoln, and he was telling the story that they after they blew up, they took the truck and they hauled mail to go pick up a motor from the shop, brought it back, put it in, got it made out for the feature.
That's awesome. Especially I know that's an important that was an important race for them. You know what I mean? Started tail end, came storming through the pack. Did he finish second or third? I can't remember if he finished second, third, but he got all the way up there.
I think Javicki might have been second. I think Javicki was second. Maybe he was third or fourth, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was up there, but Briggs was just the cream of the crop. He had to pass some cars, get up there, and once he got up there, he was gone, man. He was ripping. But it was a good race. Just the wingless cars there are especially when they have a nice little curve to lean on, but it slicks off enough. Bright was third, Javicki was second. That's correct. But it was a good race, and I felt like scheduling wise, this was a nice teaser for what's coming up this week. I thought it was scheduled well, and I think something that Joey brought up that I wasn't even thinking of, because USAC was pretty much off, unless you're racing midgets. Were they even racing midgets? I thought maybe it was extreme. I don't know, but USAC was the national sprint car guys were pretty much off. So they would have probably they're already coming into town. They probably would have raced for $5,000. That's about what they race for on a normal night. So next year when they can do USAC East Coast with 410s, that might be a much bigger race than we think. I hope they don't try to combine them with USAC National Tour. I hope they keep it a USAC 360 deal, but it could be a really big race. So we'll see. Yeah. So anything else from Williams Grove? Let's get into Port Royal. I was at Port Royal on Saturday. This was a fun race for Super Late Model Speed Week. They had 48 late models. There was 23 410s, and Lance DeWeese gets it done for the 123rd time. This was a fun. Just the racing was pretty fun. This was another like handicap type of deal. The first heat race was awesome, but great racing action between Kyle Keene, Mike Wagner, and Jake Carklin. Really good battles there. Pretty good battles all night. Lance had to come from, I want to say like 6 or so. I'd have to go back and look, but he came up through the field. There was Jake Carklin was looking really good. I thought this might have been his night. He was starting up in the top 5. He looked really good in his heat. He's been really fast there. And he was looking faster in the feature. He was running about 3rd, 4th, or 5th around there. And I guess he caught the wall and it ended up taking him out. Ended up taking Michael Walter out, Logan Wagner out. And Chase Dietz got a part of it. Was able to get back out though. Changed the tire. Top wing was a little bent up. But he was able to get back out. Got back up into the top 10. But Lance, the story tonight was Lance. Just he just looked good. Just an old school race from Lance. And it was a shame for Jake Wagner and Walter to not finish that race, because I think they would have definitely, all three of those guys would have probably had something for Lance there. I think it would have been a really, really good race at the end. Not to say that Cody Lehman looked good, and Mark Smith led for a little bit, and he was looking pretty good too. But I really think Jake and Logan specifically looked probably like the fastest cars going into that feature. You guys see any of this? You guys have any thoughts?
Didn't see a lap. Didn't even watch the highlights yet.
I watched part of it. I mean, Lance, how close is he to Kaufman now?
I think he has to be it's like 5 or 6, isn't it?
I think that's his goal, is to keep running Port to get there. I mean, second win in that car.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's cool. I mean, we're watching history, so.
We were talking about it last week. Some people in the chat thought, hey, maybe they're down on power or something when he finished. He had 2 podium finishes last week. And we're like, he's still running well. Like, they're fast. Like, maybe they're not winning like on the clip that we were expecting. You know, we kind of got spoiled when he was in the 69K, because it was like almost every time because they ran a limited schedule, and every time they came out, they were always a threat to win. And you haven't felt that with the 12. But I feel like now coming into the summer months here, we're starting to see that he's running up in the top 5. He ran 6th at Williams Grove, but he had to come from pretty far back and was looking pretty good. Looked really good at Port. You know, just we're starting to see that team start coming around. You know, they're a new group that working together. You know, they just started at the end of last year, so they're starting to figure some things out, and you could tell it's visual on the track. So I don't think this is the last one that we see here.
Well, that's his 3rd win of the season. He got one at Williams Grove as well, right?
Yep.
2 at Port and 1 at the Grove now. And we're saying, hey, maybe they'll come around. That's 3
Yeah,
wins
that's
on
what
a
I'm
team
saying.
that just came together. Like,
yeah,
I think the expectation, obviously, it's Lance DeWeese expectation. So I think that's where that conversation comes from. But the guy has 3 wins, and maybe they ran 15 races.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, I would say probably around there.
So that's a 20% winning percentage if that's the case.
Yeah, he's still out there.
6 behind Kaufman now, 129 to 123.
Damn. And I think if they're firing on cylinders here, you know,
he could get there.
He could get there. Year. I don't know about this year. I think that's going to be tough.
It's only June.
I think with all the
it's only June, but I mean, will Port Royal even have 6 regular races with with weather's been and stuff? You know what I mean?
They would have, but they're already rained out half the spring. So,
but I think he could get close. I think we could be talking going in the next year that he's about 2 or 3 away. I can
imagine if he's imagine if he's on the cusp of it at Tusky.
Huh. Right.
Oh, that was
just saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. If you have 2 speed week dates, the dream race. Otherwise, you have mostly weekly shows until you get to Tusky. I mean, it's a real shot. Like Jeremy said, we could be rolling in Tusky weekend with him within striking distance of taking the record, that place might burn down one way or the other. The Kaufman people, oof.
I think if somebody's going to beat him, though, Lance is.
I don't think you understand the Kaufman fans, man.
I get it.
They're still mad at Chad Layton for getting Keith Kaufman fired. I don't even think he did that.
Get over it. Okay?
Tyler Koenig says, mark it down. Lance will also win the Labor Day race.
You're going to have to steal that from Cisney's cold, dead hands, okay?
Speaking of Cisney, I don't know what was up with him. He ran in the back of his heat, and then I don't even know if he came out for the feature. I don't know if he had something.
I think there was some motor. I think I heard motor problems, I want to say.
Yeah, but shame for him. He's been running pretty good. Ryan Smith out of nowhere, man. Yeah, P6.
A little bit of Western PA Speedweek. I saw his name show up. And
so that was the first. Western PA Speedweek was the first time he was out all season. Well, we heard earlier in the year that he was going to wait till summer to come out because he was really helping Noah Tarski. So he's finally out, and he looked really good at Port. He looked good out in Western PA. He got a win, and then he comes here to Port. He didn't run Friday night. He ran at Port and looked really good. Ran up in the top 10 all night. Looked good. Now, just, encouraging, just to see what he does here moving forward. You guys think if LD beats Kaufman record, he will retire?
On the spot. Sorry, Barry Shearer, you're out, man. You're going to have to find a driver. On the spot, in Victory
I don't
Lane.
know.
He won't even get back in to drive it to the pits. He's just going to walk off with his helmet.
He's not going to Fred Raymer this thing.
No, I don't think he would retire on the spot. I think he would.
I think he would race less at Port.
I think he would just race less in general. But I think.
So is he tied with National Opens?
Is he
tied of shots with 5, or is he one behind? Because he might be also trying to take that.
He's on the cusp of a lot of different milestones, so I don't think if he gets one, he's just going to stop. Especially if for him to get there, he has to be winning, which means he has to be fast. So if he's still fast in a car, I don't see him hanging it up until he feels like he's not competing anymore.
That's what I'm saying it too. As long as he's still competitive, you'll see him in a race car until he decides.
Right.
It's not fun anymore.
Right. So I think he's got some left in the tank here. I mean, obviously he does, but I mean, I'm thinking,
I think it's
see him going for at least.
I think it's a combination of that speed, any of these records, and then what Cole's up to, right? Cole's not far from a big car. I would imagine unless he doesn't want to get into a big car someday, I'd imagine Cole's not far from ready to get into a big car. So, that could change some things as well. And it did already, right? There was times where he took some time off and he would go down to North Carolina with Cole, or, they would travel around a little bit to be with him. So, I think he's running with the way he wants to and the schedule he wants to now. And it works. But if he's having fun and winning and competitive, he'll keep going, so we'll see.
I want to give one shout out to Kyle Keene. He looked really good in his heat race. And he ran pretty well in his heat. I know he's trying to figure some things out in the feature here in the big car in the 410. But he looked really good, and he was in the heat race. He was up there. I mean, the cushion was still maybe like half a lane off the wall, but he was running up there and he looked good. So he's getting better and better every week. So shout out Kyle. Keep it up. And then in the just quick super late model feature, Greg Satterley won. It was real. The scariest part of the night was I can't remember his first name, but Emery in the late models.
Tyler Emery,
Tyler Emery, thank you. The 72. He won at Clinton County the night before. I believe he won Speed Week last year too, and he was leading this heat race, and it was right in front of me. But I'm watching some battles behind him, and all of a sudden I just see car go straight into the wall at full speed, like nothing. Like it was bad. He was pretty ginger getting out, got into the ambulance. That thing was pretty bad. And then to see him, he was out at Hagerstown last night. So that's good to see. I know they were saying on the broadcast last night that he was dealing with some back issues. So for him to even be in the car is something. So glad to see he's okay. I was very worried at the time because it was a gnarly wreck. It's one of the worst in person late model wrecks that I've ever seen. So glad to see him walk away, and congratulations to Greg Satterley. It was a very good feature, especially once they got into some lap traffic there. There's a lot of cars coming in, and it was a good race. So so a late race caution kind of just, I want to say, gave it to Satterley, just gave him a clean track. But yeah, let's see here. A couple comments here on Lance. Lance said on Wing Nation one time that he was ready to hang it up before he got to the 69K ride because he wasn't fast, he wasn't winning, and wasn't having fun. Think until that happens, he'll be around. Yeah, it's you kind of think the same way, and it's kind of crazy to think that he might have hung it up before 69K, and it's probably one of the best parts of his career. You know what I mean? Like a real resurgence. Jeff says Lance's son progression will continue to be a factor going forward. Absolutely. And Tyler Koenig says Greg put on a clinic last night at Hagerstown too. Yeah, I mean when Greg Satterley's on, man, he is nasty. So good start off to the late model speed week. Clinton County. I was gonna go to Clinton County on Friday night. Decided to go because of USAC, and but then I rewatched that feature Saturday morning, and man, was it good! And Clinton County's just awesome. So I'm excited to get there maybe at some point this year for some other shows. Let's get into Lincoln. Tyler Ross, who we were just talking about last week, man, he's on the cusp. He's been running really well. He's right there. Gets a pretty big win here in the Elijah Hawkins Memorial Race. Aaron Bollinger, to my understanding, led a good chunk of this race right in the beginning. Finishes second, and Troy finishes third as hard charger. Jay-Z, you were there. Let us know your observations. What'd you see?
Yeah, this was a fun one. It wasn't easy by any means, but you could kind of see pretty early on Tyler Ross had a really good car. Like he was passing cars, he was making moves, he was defending. Him and Bollinger had a battle. Cameron Smith and Aaron Bollinger had battles. Troy, Aaron, Matt Campbell, Cam Smith. I mean, it was a war up front, and Tyler Ross stood out in my mind above all of them. And drove by these guys, kept in front of them, lap traffic. Fred Putney doing what Fred Putney does. This track couldn't have been more unique in the daylight. 1 and 2, it was windy. The humidity was low. 1 and 2 in time trials was dusted off, slick. 3 and 4 was heavy with a curb. It couldn't have been. It was 2 different racetracks in the same racetrack. It was crazy, and Lincoln does that a lot. The sun, it gets in shade in 3 and 4 pretty early, pretty quickly with the way the sun sets, and 1 and 2 stays in the sun. And guys were really in time trials were really struggling in time trials to get through 1 and 2, and in 3 and 4 they were just hammered down. So it created a very unique surface, and Fred worked on it and before the feature, and Tyler was on it, man. He was good all night, good from beginning to end, and super impressive run. Gets the win. Aaron Bollinger, obviously impressive as well. He had, man, that thing was stood up off the corner. He was digging. That thing was really good. Great battle there. Wagaman, hard charger. It was a battle for him. But I'll tell you what, and I don't want to take anything away from any of those guys, but Matt Campbell, he probably wishes it was a 35 lap feature and we didn't get a yellow with like 1 to go. By the way, open red with 1 to go, and they didn't go as a green-white checker. It was green checker. It was weird. I don't know if I like the green checker thing, right? Like I think green-white checker, get the momentum going. You're not going to get the lap traffic regardless. I don't know. I guess I never really thought of that, but it wasn't green-white checkered with 1 to go. And they had an open red with 1 lap to go. They hit the lap number with 1 lap to go. So everybody could put fuel, make adjustments. The red flag was unfortunately for Billy in his incident, but it was with 1 to go, and it was truly 1 to go. It was green checkers, and it was weird. I'm like, oh, cool. Here comes the white flag. Nope, that was it. So, it was cool. But Matt Campbell, man, he was the show. He was ripping the top of 1 and 2. He was running those boys down, and if that stays green, I think he has something for Tyler. Maybe, maybe not. Took a shot at the end, lost second and third. because I think he would have had Aaron Bollinger cleared for second when the red came out. They were side by side, or he had him cleared down the backstretch. So, but Matt Campbell again at the end of that race, he was the best car on the racetrack. So, Freddie had an average night. He wasn't spectacular. Track had character. It was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed being there. So it was cool. Jordan Strickler had a good run tonight, Saturday night. Made the feature. Obviously, there was 22 cars there, but he didn't have a great time trial, but did a good job in the heat. Just a fun night all around, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just want to make it known because I thought I was going to go 2 for 2 on Saturday night when I saw Tyler won, because this was before actually Port Royal started their 410 feature because they weren't the headline show; they were after the late models. Last week, if you remember, Drink It and Dump It, I said 2 guys, Tyler Ross and Jake Karkland. I'm like, they're going to get a win, and they're going to get a win soon. Tyler, shout out for making me look smart, and Jake did too. We just, had an unfortunate wreck. So shout out Tyler. Awesome run. Great. Glad to see him get a win. Chris, what your takeaways from this race?
I trust Jeremy's takeaways from this race. I did not watch anything. I mean, obviously Tyler Ross has speed. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, Troy staying consistent. Troy Wogman staying consistent. I don't know.
Hey, can you wait a second? Can you go back to the Port Royal finish?
What do you mean?
The Port Royal rundown. Shout out Cody Lehman, man.
Yeah.
Shout out Cody freaking Lehman.
Yeah.
I missed this. I'm sorry, Cody.
Too. Yeah.
Got a win last year. Got a P2 now. Cody in the right spot, has the right stuff. He's got a lot of laps at Port Royal, getting better and better each week. Sorry about that. I missed that. My fault. Let's move on.
It's cool to see some of these guys like Cody Hartlaub again, another top 10 finish in that 39. After finishing on the podium Friday night, it's cool to see some of these names creep up on the leaderboard every week and get closer and closer, and even notching their first wins. It just goes to show that you keep cutting your teeth, you keep your head to it. It will come. You know what I mean? As dominant as somebody like Freddie Raymer is at Lincoln, he's not going to be on it every. Obviously, you go to like last year, it felt like every night, but you are going to have your opportunities where you are faster. You know what I mean? And you are going to get a win, and then you just continue to build upon that. And you're seeing that Matt Campbell. You're seeing it with Aaron Bollinger, obviously Troy Wogman, Tyler Ross, those guys, Cam Smith getting his first win. You're starting to see that now. And it's good because I think parity in this area really helps build the whole posse thing up and just makes everybody better.
Right. And actually, something that I just noticed there to piggyback on that is look at Tony Jackson there in 11th. Solid weekend. I think he was 13th at Williams Grove. That him and that team, a lot of growing pains through start of the year, a lot of torn up race cars and some, I would say, probably not what they expected to be, but I think they're starting to figure out this 410 thing a little bit and keep chipping at it. The 11th there and right at a good time in peak of the racing season.
Confidence and momentum is a real thing, and we know it racing. It is. Cam Smith gets a win Friday night. He went quick time Saturday at Lincoln. So he was a quick time winner, confidence and everything. And he drove with confidence on Saturday. I don't think he had the best car by any means, but he was there. People knew. They knew he was there. So just very cool for sure.
I think that whole top 5 is you're going to see more wins and keep hearing these names more and more. I mean, obviously we talk about them every week on our show, but I think they're going to, that's a big core right there, that top 5 of guys that we're looking forward to the future here in PA.
Is TJ Stutz lost, or is he just, am I missing the fact that he runs Lincoln all the time?
He's running that plank car.
That makes sense.
So he was somebody that I was in the back of my mind. I'm like, man, he's been really good. Just
he's
consistently
been a solid year.
It's a very solid year. I mean, we know he's great at time trials, but he's been running up top 10 everywhere he's at, and is even battling for the lead at times. So I think he's another guy to watch as they continue to build momentum. He could be a guy that could steal a win this year for sure.
And Randy throws in there Lucas Wolf too, kind of a not quite a resurgence, but kind of a peek into what we know Lucas Wolf is. We know he's
Well,
highly decorated and been around forever, and he's
thinking
shown
about-
speed all year.
Thinking about Lucas Wolf last year too, I mean, we would see him get maybe a 6th or 7th place finish, and then for the next 3 weeks he'll run like 16th.
Right.
And we're seeing him more up in the top 10 more consistently, so it does seem like they got something turned around and figured out as well. Do want to give a reminder here before we talk about 358s at Lincoln. Ironically enough, it is the 1-year anniversary of Jay-Z having to do a shoey, which means I'm 1 year overdue. I'm making a new intro video because that needs to get in there.
We're late. So check this out. We're talking about consistency and these guys showing up. Troy Wagaman's last 4 races: 2nd, 1st, 5th, and 3rd.
Damn.
And that's at Williams Grove, Lincoln, Williams Grove, and Lincoln. And before that, a P12, P6, P3, P8, P2, P3, P1. 21 races and 12 top 5s and 16 top 10s. So even when, Troy's gotten a couple wins, he's got 3 wins, him and Lance Deweese have that in common. Think about that. Wonder how Troy feels about having the same amount of wins as Lance Deweese in 2024.
Where is
that
Lance's
something he
third win
ever,
at?
ever? Who's?
Lance. I don't think he's won 2 at Port.
He's, early in the season. Didn't he win one early in the year at Port?
I think he has 2 wins. Grove, that was the first win in the 12 car, and Port. I don't think he has 3 wins. Maybe I'm crazy.
Maybe I think
you might be right.
He got one early.
I thought he did too, but I think you're right. I don't think he did yet.
I think Grove was the first win with the 12 car.
How the hell do you search?
Either way, that means Troy would then have more wins than Lance.
How about that one?
And what a time to be as fast as Troy and that Hefner team are, not only at Lincoln, Grove, and Babs. That's what, 5 of the 9 races during speed weeks?
It is.
It's a pretty good outlook there. And then I know obviously Port is a place that they haven't been too much, but
I'm sorry. 2 wins.
Troy,
13 races.
Troy hasn't been to Port since finishing 2nd in the non-qualifiers race at the 50, right?
Yeah.
So even still, his one time at Port, he finished 2nd in the non-qualifiers race to Dana Dietrich, who happens to be okay at racing cars.
And rumor has it, Troy Wagaman may be running all of Speed Week.
What a weird coincidence.
So, after I said last week that he would be a great contender to. He's a guy because he's been so consistent. Yeah, you got those other tracks like a Hagerstown, Grandview that probably hasn't raced as much at. I don't even know if he's raced those tracks at all. But he's so consistent, so good at all these other tracks that he's definitely in the
right.
Has the hat in the ring for a guy that's going to compete for the title. And then you're like, oh, he's not racing no thing. I'm like, oh, damn it. I didn't even think of that. And then after the show, it's like,
hey, maybe I am. But 5, like you said, 5 of those races are places that he's not guaranteed top 5s, but he's more often than not in the top 5. If he can at least be average in the top 10 in the other places, he's going to be right there in the mix. If not,
I think Troy's at a point right now, at least here in PA, where
top 10 or bust.
He's a walking top 10. Just unload, he'll be up there. I think some things, especially time trial shows, are definitely going to help him be up front a little bit more because he's been really, really good there. But I think if he unloads somewhere, right now, so far in 2024, he's like a walking top, almost a walking top 5. Like he's just always up there.
He's still 2nd in points in everything, right? So
yeah.
That just shows you how consistent he is.
Yep.
Wasn't Lincoln on flow this weekend?
Nope. It was not. I did not see a lap of this, unfortunately.
I thought it was.
It was
not. Said it was, but I didn't see it either.
It was not on flow. The weekend before was.
Yeah, I thought I saw an icon that said it was on flow. But Brad, for answering your question about Raymer punting Tony Jackson turn 1, I have no opinion because I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Didn't see a replay. I know Raymer was sitting on the track and had a bent up front wing and didn't do well in the heat with it. So if he did it, he got the worst of it. I guess. I mean, I guess Tony pulled off too, but play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If he did it, I don't know. I don't know. Because if he punted him, he got wrecked too. So I'm sure that wasn't in the plans. Not sure, buddy. Didn't get to see it. Saw the aftermath. I was on the other end of the track, unfortunately.
358 feature at Lincoln. Jaden Wolf with the win. Good for him. We talked to him again earlier this year. We know how much talent's there. JZ, what'd you see from that?
Jaden Wolf ripped the damn top to a win, is what he did. Like, nothing against anyone else, but he drove around the field from me to the win, I want to say, or something, and he did it on the top in Jaden Wolf fashion. Didn't make a mistake, did what he had to do, and I looked up at one point. I'm like, when did he take the lead? I missed it. I don't even know when it happened. I was like focusing on so many different cars, and they got spread out there for a while, and damn, Jaden. All right, let's go. He won his heat race. He was fast all night, and there was enough track left for him to do it. And I was concerned a little bit because there was a lot of moisture on the bottom of 3 and 4 at the very bottom. And 358s, that's track gets wide. There's usually not enough left, but he man, that thing was on rails. And Aiden Hare followed him through. Aiden Hare went like 18th to 10th or something.
Damn.
And so he said, I saw Jaden on the top after the feature. He's like, I saw Jaden up there. So he said, I'm going. And he was ripping the top, man. He was passing fast cars. So the guys that can make it work made it work. So, okay. I'll have to check it out then, William. Thank you. Yeah. So maybe I can have judgment. It would just be an opinion from a stupid fan, but I could try to give my best judgment on it, what I see. But yeah, no, Jaden Wolf, man, great job, great victory lane. Super happy, obviously, for him. He needs to have put these nights together. He wants to get into a 410. He wants to get an opportunity, and this is the way to do it: is put results on the books in the 358 division, and do it in a way where it's different. You got to go somewhere they're not, and he's proven to do it before. And he'll do it again. So 4th career 358 win for the young guy. So pretty cool to see that for sure. Chad Criswell, Hammaker were second, or Hammaker got second, I think, at the end. Chad Criswell third there. So there were no slouches in front of that field, and he went by them. So just a cool night overall.
Yeah. Congratulations, Jaden. Great win. And I'm sure that might not be the only one we're talking about this year for sure. Steph asked, did anyone see the wreck in the 410s on Saturday? I walked towards Sandbox and it was literally happened right as I turned my back. I remember looking back and seeing Billy, and I was pissed.
No, I don't think anyone on the planet seemed to see this thing that I saw. Billy commented. Billy had comments on Facebook, and there weren't a whole lot of comments that saw it. There weren't. I didn't. I turned around. I know him and Hartlaw were side by side down the backstretch. That's all I know. I talked to Cody. Doesn't sound like there was much to do about 3 and 4. It was a racing deal. They both admitted it. Cody went and talked to Billy. They're good. It doesn't sound like there's any ill will there, to my knowledge, that's come out about it. So hopefully Billy gets out there. It was a pretty nasty one. He was pretty sore, it sounds like. So thankfully he's okay. Hopefully we'll get him back on track soon. He's had a rough few weeks, month. So
they were putting the car back together today
or tearing it apart. Dakota said maybe tearing it apart because it still looked dirty. So I don't know.
Either way, they're trying. The goal is to be at Williams Grove Friday if they have a race car. So I saw his one comment on that. So hopefully they're back out there soon.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts from Lincoln before we move on?
No.
Let's move on just real quick. We're going to touch. First, before we get into National Series, here is thanks to Tony Sharp for putting this graphic together of our Central PA points. Danny Dietrich still with the lead, even going out to Ohio. Freddie 172 back. Troy is back in third. Macri and Borden, but I feel like obviously with Danny and Macri traveling, here a lot more, I think that's going to change. I think it'll end up being a Raymer and Troy thing maybe, but Danny never surprises me. So, so that's how at least the Central PA points are looking. I don't have the points handy for each track, but I know it's a lot of Troy right there too. So, World of Outlaws on Friday night, River City Speedway. Giovanni Scelzi leads 38 of 40 laps and takes down the win. Buddy Kofoid was hard charger plus 18. Brock Zerfoss with a 9 with plus 12. Sheldon Hansfield second. Donnie Schatz third. Mark Dobnmeyer with a fifth place finish there. And then on Saturday night, is it Ogilvy Raceway?
Big O. The Big O.
The Big O. Sheldon Hansfield led one lap, and it was the only one that mattered. It was the last one. That was a hell of a finish between him, Macedo, and Buddy. Macedo led the entire race, but they were kind of in lap traffic, throwing side jobs. It was a pretty good end of the race. Hard charger was Garrett Williamson, getting a top 10 there in 8th place. And then High Limit, they had their race routine race at I-70 this past week. Friday night, Corey Day with the win, with Brad Sweet and Chase Randall third, who Chase Randall had a hell of a wreck at right. That was Chase Randall at Knoxville.
Yep.
Caught on fire. It's eerily in the same spot that Macedo did. But look, glad he's okay. It sounds like he just has a little bit of a burn around his chin, but he was like fully engulfed. That was scary. But Friday night before that all happens, he got a podium with High Limit. Corey Day getting a win. As long as this guy can finish features, he seems to have a hard time right now making it to the end, but he's always up there in the top 5. We've talked about him through and through. And then the big race was Saturday night. Did they say this was like the biggest
single day,
biggest single day payout? Which I thought, I'm like, yeah, Weikert, and it was like $2,000 to start, but whatever their technicalities are. This wasn't as much as Weikert, but it was close. Rico gets the win. He pretty much dominated this thing. Anthony Macri representing PA well, getting P2. Parker Price Miller getting a podium. It seemed like Macri, PPM, and Justin Peck and Corey Day at one point were having a pretty good battle there between 2nd and 5th. And then I'm not sure what happened today. I think he broke or something. Brad Sweet, Brent Marks, 5th and 6th, and Tyler Courtney. Those are your top 3 guys really in the points, and they've been pretty much together this entire time. So any thoughts from these 4 races? Any takeaways?
No, sir.
Yes, glad Chase Randall is okay. That was probably the biggest. That and Bloomquist's wreck and the late model Dream. Those were like probably the 2 of the scariest moments of the weekend nationally. And Bloomquist was he's been tearing up a lot of things the past year or so. I don't even follow late model racing that much, but I feel like half the time when I do see him, he's chunking a car, and it's not necessarily his fault. I'm not trying to take a shot at him. I'm just saying
the aliens did it. But
Davenport won the Dream. Not shocked at all. I tuned in.
He actually owns. He bought the track from Tony Stewart because he owns that place.
He could. He probably has enough money now with how much he's been
taking.
Good for Rico. He's been having issues not being consistent. He's been getting up there a little bit more. This whole top 10 in High Limit, like you get a couple here and there, but man, these guys really battle it out, and I think that's we talked about it before, High Limit, but even going back and watching the highlights of some of these outlaw races, they're good. I mean, they're good too. Something that, and I'm going to go back here real quick, you don't really see David Gravel up there.
He's having a weird stretch right now.
Yes, he is. Now, I know he finished 6th, but I believe he had an issue on Saturday, had to go to the work area.
He flipped one of them.
In one of these he did, but he came back up.
Right.
River Cities, he finished P10, and he finished P6 on Saturday night. For a normal human being, that's great, but for David Gravel,
think about it though, going to the work area, I know that damage from the one wings, whole front end, to still go up there, that's how you win championships. Whether Brad Sweet's there or not does not matter. That's a championship caliber team and driver that can overcome this kind of stuff. You'd see Brad Sweet do, or Donnie Schatz do, or Steve Kinzer do. You have bad luck, you could finish 19th, or you could go drive back into the top 10.
Yeah,
So
and that's what he's doing.
it's
So
just a weird stretch, and they're overcoming it, and good on him.
that's how
but-
you win championships. Like you
Right.
said, Brett, Sweet's giving you the blueprint there. Yeah. Matt, he missed everything on Saturday because he finished P4 and P3 at Penn's Creek Raceway Park. Good
There
job,
you
buddy.
go.
Sounds
Atta
like
boy.
maybe Jay-Z lit a fire under your ass a little bit.
Unless there was only 4 cars there. I mean, unless only 4 cars showed up. So
yeah, DD has looked good in Ohio.
he looked good for
yesterday.
one day.
He looked good for one day. Almost got a win there. It was a virtual tie at the line almost. Pretty wild race, which looked like it was going to be shitty, and it wasn't really that great of a race.
It was shitty. Let's be honest. That last lap made it where people were like, "Oh, okay, I can overlook it." It was shitty. It was shitty. It was a shitty racetrack. It was a shitty decision to run three divisions in the heat and the wind, and on a weeknight, on a Sunday night to run 3 divisions. It was shitty all around. It's a cornfield. And listen, I don't know.
They were running the feature in daylight too. It was like 8 o'clock, which is
but that last lap is going to make people go. It was shitty.
Yeah.
So,
but shout out Cale Thomas getting that win. Friend of the show.
Let's go.
Shout out. We like winners here at TTT.
He went
P3 right now. He's running 3rd right now.
Well, the first start he went to the lead, and then Tim Schaefer had a flat tire. You got screwed.
Oh, he got a good jump on that start there too.
Yeah, the first one he went split the middle and came out. He was leading on the backstretch, and then the caution came out.
Damn.
How about just real quick, Ohio Speed Week? They've been averaging 45-ish, 40. They had 50 tonight on a Monday night. There were some questions since it's not All-Star anymore. You know, they were kind of worried about. Some people were worried. I don't think most people were that worried because, it's Ohio Speed Week and they have a lot of cars there that will run this. This is what they look forward to pretty much every year. And, 50 cars on Monday night proves that, the Speed Week's going to be fine without an All-Star sanction or a high limit sanction, whatever way you want to look at it.
Well, I don't think I was ever concerned about them getting cars. I was concerned that it was going to be a thing at all. Like when they first pulled out, right?
Sure.
This going to be like, and they didn't know. I think they put it together and got it figured out. And I think, there was some help there when the All-Stars dissolved and handing it over and making this happen for the teams. And I'm glad they're supporting it. That's going to be good for them for sure. There's enough cars out there. They just have to go and be there.
Yeah.
So good for them to keep it rolling. And there's a lot of torn up cars tonight. So we'll see how many come back the rest of the week. But yeah, no, it's a good thing all around for sure.
Devin Borden is out there running until Thursday in the Grove 45. Then he's coming home to run Grove on Friday, Williams Grove on Friday, Port Royal on Saturday, and then he's flying to Washington and driving the family car at Skagit on Sunday night, which is that's an insane, you want to talk speed weeks, and like this is when you start getting to see that because I mean from here on out till probably Knoxville, it's just constant racing. You're going to see something on almost every night, which is great for us as fans, but I'm sure for them, we talk about burnout and equipment and stuff like that. So, but anyway, that's neither here or there. Shout out to him. Dylan Norris is out there at Ohio Speed Week representing PA as well. So yeah, I'm just glad to see they're having good turnouts, having decent races, Yeah. Let's get into this upcoming week real quick. Obviously, we had Joey on. We talked about Eastern Storm, and I kind of want to just quick bullet point each one of these races real quick. Grandview starts tomorrow night. And listen, knock on wood, the weather looks absolutely perfect for all week. Like maybe a thunderstorm 1 or 2 nights here, but it looks great. It's going to be a little hot towards the end of the week, whatever. Grandview looks absolutely picture perfect tomorrow. If you are able to get there, get there. They put on a decent show there at Grandview, and it's a good way to kick off this Eastern Storm. Then they go to Bridgeport, which, like I said when we were talking to Joey, that's the one race that I would really like to see because when we saw USAC East Coast there last year, I thought seeing Wing 410s there was badass as my first time there to Bridgeport, but seeing Wingless there, man, was so sick. And they're going to put on a hell of a show there. I'm really excited to watch that one. Big Diamond on Thursday. I'm probably going to be going to that one since that's pretty close to me. That one's always an interesting one. I'll leave it at that. Williams Grove on Friday. I'm pretty excited for. The big one is Port Royal Saturday, and then it's not just because it's Port Royal, but you got the Silver Crown there too. And this is like a light version of the Four Crown when you think about it. You just don't have midgets, and you're going to get a ton of cars come out for this. We saw it last year. I remember us talking about it last year. We're like, man, I wonder actually how many 410s they're actually going to get because it's USAC, it's wingless. And I think you saw all divisions bring in cars because they wanted to be part of the event. We got a shit ton of cars last year, and we were, it's a long night, and I'm totally fine. This is one night a year where I don't care if I'm there till 2:00 in the morning because I'm watching awesome racing. And then obviously they close it out at Kutztown. So guys, what are your thoughts on this that you're looking forward to this week? Good job, Chris.
Okay, all of them, number one. But, I don't remember last year going to all three, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I did because I remember being at all three, and it looks like I'm going to end up at all three of them again this year, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm hoping Saturday. I got some other things going on, other commitments in the morning / afternoon. So I'm hoping to make it up there. Option B is, late model speed week at Lincoln because it's closer to my house, but other commitments are falling in line for that day, and I'll take care of those. But man, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pretty hyped for all of it, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch Grandview, Bridgeport, Big Diamond the best I can. They will be on the TV, on the phone, wherever. But hyped for all of them, to be honest. Probably more than I have been in the past. I remember it being a thing forever. Paid attention probably more the last 2 years, more last year, and even more this year. So, I'm really getting into it more and more. I it's just awesome. Looking forward to all of it.
Yeah, I wish USAC would come around a little bit more often, but I think if you're going to do it a one time through here, because we aren't really a wingless area, but it's getting there. We have sprint cars, but to do it like this, I think and really have that big race is really that port race, and it's the Saturday night race. You're gonna have a ton of guys doing double. I'm kind of wondering if you see any triple duty because there are some guys that are prone to throw a wing on. I doubt it, but it would be really cool to see someone try to do.
It would be cool, but I doubt it too. There's a lot of doubles in different directions. Chase might be one of the only doing Silver Crown 410.
Yes.
There's a lot of guys doing the double between USAC and Silver Crown, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys doing that, but he's doing a different, unique kind of double there. I know. Oh, Steve Buckwalter did it last year.
Yep,
he did Silver Crown 410. So it's not new or unique, but pretty cool for sure.
Yeah, and
Chris, which one are you getting? Which ones are you getting to, Chris? Are you a race fan this weekend?
I will be at Williams Grove, and that's it. But
he's only going to be there to race Seth.
Race Seth, kick his ass real quick,
and then go home. You're gonna watch the rest at home then.
It's a good idea, actually. But no, if I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna celebrate my win over Seth by watching sprint cars.
Christopher Noel says, anybody doing both 410 and USAC at Williams Grove? I think Kyle Moody did it last year. Obviously, we I don't know if you saw some news this week. Hurt Motors sounds like he's not going to be out for a while until he can get some equipment back stocked, which is unfortunate because he's been running pretty well. But he was the only guy that I can remember last year doing that, at least at Williams Grove. So hopefully maybe he gets an opportunity again to at least maybe go out and run some USAC. Brett says, I'm putting my new wheels on for this. Hell yeah, let's go. Steph says, I'm excited about Saturday. Finally got to see Brady Bacon race in person.
He's a national treasure. Watching that dude run last year, I'm telling you, he made my job as a photographer really easy because that dude is badass. Like, every time I put my camera on him, their car was doing something awesome. Brady Bacon is just, man, what a talent.
And he was one guy that I thought maybe eventually could do, because he's good in everything. I mean, he's good in the Silver Crown car, the sprint car, and we've seen him
ran a little bit more wing this year, so maybe the wing car shows up too. Maybe.
You never
it's
know.
Long haul for his wing car, but
never know. But would be cool to see. But if not, just seeing these guys do a double is something. You know what I mean? Didn't Silver Crown start right before midnight last year? Yeah, it was somewhere around there. I think because, and we're going to see how things work out this year with the way they do it. I don't think Port expected to get as there was like 120 cars there last year. There was a shit ton. I mean, I think there was like 410 wing cars, which it's it was like a regular show. And then you had a ton of USAC and obviously like 30 some Silver Crown. So, you know, I'm like I said, me personally, I'm fine. I'm going to be camping there anyway. I think I'm camping Friday and Saturday, Port Grove and Port. I don't care if it goes till 2 a.m. because it's such a good race. And I think ending it with the Silver Crown race at the end of the night is great. Track's blown out, you know what I mean? 50 laps. Just really cool. Quick question for all three of yous. Name a track not on an Eastern Storm schedule you'd love to see the USAC National Series race at. Mine's easy, but you guys can go.
Baps.
Yeah, my two Baps with a cushion and Path Valley.
I would say mine is obviously Sealands Grove. I wish they would bring Silver Crown back there. They were badass there. They used to run Silver Crown there a couple years ago. I think CV won the last one. They were awesome there. And it was a full 100 lap race. And I think they would do the double with I think one year was like, I think it was USAC East Coast with them. But also, I think they would be badass at Lincoln.
I would
say,
say
I think it would be pretty cool to check them out at Lincoln.
Baps and Clinton County would be what I would want.
Ooh, Clinton County, baby. Oof.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If Clinton County, if there's something to lean on, like I don't want them to have to feel like they want to run a 305 wingless car, you know, just at Clinton County. Like I'm not saying no, but like give them something to lean on and make, because it's going to be slider fest type deal, but sounds like it's a lot of low and slow there. So I don't know. You're probably right, but it just doesn't, like what Joey was saying, it doesn't equate well for those cars potentially. But yeah, Lincoln, that's a really good thought. I feel like they have before, because I swore I saw like Monteith and Brent Marks and a couple guys ran Eastern Storm. They did Lincoln a bunch of years back, and they haven't been there in a while. So hopefully Lincoln gets them back again. That'd be cool.
It's not surprising.
You're right.
I don't want to get into it, but we know why it's not surprising.
I just feel like, as far as being one of the big three.
Yeah. No, I get it. I would love to see it go longer and be like a full week, and maybe like it could have started this past weekend and they could have you know what I mean, and gotten to a couple more tracks, but maybe do 2 Silver Crown races, do one last weekend, one this weekend. Maybe it does, and maybe if all the fans keep coming out and showing interest in this stuff, I would not doubt if they. If this could expand. It is a great week, and these tracks, they're all around somebody here. You know what I mean? Like they go pretty. I mean, they're going to Jersey, Eastern PA, Central PA. So you have a chance to get to one of these. I definitely do it.
Silver Crown at the Grove was cool a couple years back, but you know where I'd love to see Silver Crown? Hagerstown.
Oh, that would be cool.
75 laps, Hagerstown. It probably wasn't a pass. I'm sure I got some historians in here. But man, that place would be cool.
Yeah. I would imagine it'd be a lot like Sealands Grove, because Sealands Grove was really good, and just
Silver
really
Crown
good.
At Williams Grove would make me happy. Doing that again.
Yeah. I do say make Silver Crown 100 laps again. But I understand why they only do 50.
That was a long ass race at Williams Grove that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get it. Well, shout out Steph here. She says, I do have to say, since we met you guys, watch your podcast, and met so many other awesome people last year and this year has been awesome. We learned a lot from everyone, and our love for racing has grown. That's great.
Awesome.
That's exactly the type of stuff that we want to hear. And that's what we're saying. Like, get to the track, go check this stuff out. You know what I mean? Diversify yourself a little bit. Get to some different tracks. Get to see some different divisions. There's a lot to be offered. We are very lucky, especially here in Central PA. We are so lucky to have tracks within like 2 hours of us, pretty much wherever you're at, and see a lot of good racing. Where is camping at Port? I finally made it to the merch section. If you go up, basically across from the pits on the on the hill there is where they have their camping section. Midgets back in this area would be great, and I agree. I mean, I know we have the extreme midgets, right? Do they still go to Path? I think they're going back again this year. I don't remember.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but yeah, the only time I've ever been to Kutztown was to go see the USAC midgets, and that was one of the best races I've ever been to. It was so good. I can't remember who even won it because it was just nuts. It was like you think. Like I'm sure the sprint cars there are nuts, but the midgets, man, they were sick. Yeah. So you got that. Obviously, both Williams Grove and Port Royal will be on Flow Racing since they are USAC shows. And then Lincoln is also running Saturday. I want to say they're going to be on Flow Racing too because of Appalachian Mountains Late Model Speed Week will be there, which that should be cool. If it wasn't this overlap, I would definitely be going to check that out because I think late models at Lincoln are pretty badass. And this whole speed week that they got going on there, they're getting a lot of good they're getting good car counts. They're having good races, and it's something that they're really trying to, I guess, revive because it's kind of something that they brought back just recently, and it seemed to be a hit, and it's been really good. I like the way they do it. So, and that's really it for that around here. I'm not sure, honestly. I know high limits at Nebraska tomorrow at Eagle, Nebraska for like 55,000 to win on a Tuesday night. There are 5 outlaws using a freebie. I think like Geo, Buddy, Macedo, Schuhart, somebody else are using it. So that's going to be a big race tomorrow night. Hopefully weather looks good there. I'm sure you could probably see easily 60 cars there. Maybe not quite that much, but I would not be surprised for a big midweek money race.
Big midweek, big wig.
I think that's our cue that we need to wrap it up.
Jimmy's falling apart here, boys.
Falling apart.
First, he wants to go see Fender cars, as Brad pointed out. Now he can't talk. Stevie's gonna win the Silver Crown race.
I'll take the USAC race. I'm going to take Grant and Silver Crown CV.
You talking at Port here? Just Port?
I'm taking Jeremy's pick also. Grant and CV.
It's hard to pick against them.
Yes, it is.
I'm going Carmen Perigo and the Silver Crown.
I knew it was coming.
Hey, 4th last year. He looks good. He's good in that.
Last year at the end. He just has to go about 10 laps sooner.
And he's been really good at Port. And I mean, we saw him he finished P2.
Yeah.
In the USAC East Coast race. He's been, when that place is on, he's on too. So, the USAC race, I don't know.
Brady Bacon.
I'll go Brady Bacon. I don't want
Hell, it could be a CV sweep.
Joey Amantea. Did I say it right this time?
No.
Amantea.
Amantea.
Idiot. He even said it. My bad.
He did.
I'll go with him. Why not? Tyler Koenig says Kaylee Bryson for a Silver Crown and Brady Bacon for the sprint. Good comment here from William Wagaman. This area is a hidden jewel for auto racing. Been involved in the sports in 1965. We need more presence on the media, paper, and TV. Let it be known that we have more to offer in this area than Hershey. It's a good point. Just keep it. I think there's some media outlets that try.
Wait. He says that, and his next comment is Bears hockey. I think they're in Hershey.
It's right. I think it was a continuation.
It's good.
There's more in this area than Hershey Bears hockey and local semi-pro baseball teams.
I'm like, bruh.
Speaking of the Bears,
we know you're rooting for Chase.
We know you like Chase Dietz.
We know you're rooting for Chase Dietz, Dave. We get it, buddy.
And David Gravel.
We didn't have to really answer the question. We knew who yours was.
I will say Chase Dietz is definitely one to watch for the Silver Crown race.
Absolutely.
I think he was so, not just at Port Royal, but when I went to Springfield last year, he was just so impressive. So definitely got to keep an eye on him. Quick drink it or dump it, and then we're going to get out of here. Drink it, dump it. My drink it's gonna go to.
You had a plan.
Shit. I'll go to Tyler Ross. I'll do it 2 weeks in a row. Congratulations on the win. And dump it to I'm gonna dump it to Mike Walter. That was sucks for him. He's been fast and just can't seem to have a good clean night where he can really go and compete. So hopefully they get that figured out. And not all of his doing. He got caught up in something that wasn't his fault. So yeah, you guys.
Chris, go ahead because I have a dump it
Yeah.
the opposite one you're going to do, so it's fine.
I don't know what that even means.
I have
Drink
another option.
So drink it for Cody Hartlob. Solid weekend. Not tearing stuff up, getting good results, not only for his team but also for Cody. He's been having a tough ride a couple of times this year, so good for him to have 2 solid results. And dump it for Billy Dietrich tearing up another race car. Tough stretch ahead.
I gave you the freebie.
Yep.
Knew you were going to pick Billy because I knew I had another one in the pocket.
And I was going to say Seth, but
he's a bum. He doesn't even deserve it. Listen, drink it, Cam Smith. Congrats, my friend. Career win number 1. My dump it is Kyle Moody. Hopefully he gets funding, gets back on the racetrack soon. Never want to see another car sidelined. And listen, while cars are not easy to replace, they're a lot cheaper than a motor. So it sucks not making one worse than another, but when you're sidelined for good, that sucks. So hopefully we see him back out there soon.
Absolutely. Tyler says, shout out Alyssa Rowe on her win at Path Valley. Dump it for Billy Dietrich's bad luck. Brad Weatherby, drink it to Tyler Ross and Jaden Wolf. William Wagaman just says Briggs Danner. Drinks up to him. Good race. I don't know if he's picking him as a drink it or dump it, or maybe as a guy that could maybe win.
Probably all of the above.
Probably, I would say all of the above as well.
Does Briggs Danner get an Eastern Storm win?
And if so, where? Williams Grove. No.
Yes.
If he wins,
I want to say Grandview. I want to say Grandview, but I know. I don't know.
I'm going to say.
Let's say yes in Bridgeport.
Bridgeport was my other one. I think we see a USAC national guy win at Big Diamond in Williams Grove and Port Royal, and then maybe a surprise at Kutztown because who knows what happens there.
Yeah, I agree.
And Briggs is another guy that could win there. He has a lot of laps there. So, Christopher Noel, drink it. Cam Smith for first 10 win. Dump it. Billy Dietrich, 2 flips in 2 weeks. And Matthew Bird, drink it and dump it to Didi so far for Ohio Speedway. Yeah, you could do both there.
He has done both. Yes.
Yeah.
What does he get a drink it for a second place? Is that what we're saying?
I think so.
That's really not good enough. But
or he's drinking it just because he needs to after the week he's having.
Yeah,
that's fair. You could do both.
I believe so. Well, again, thanks guys, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks again to Joey for hanging out with us. Good luck to him this week. Get to the racetrack this week. It's going to be a beautiful week. There's a lot of racing going on, whether it's late model speed week, USAC, Eastern Storm, or just regular your local track. There's still regular weekly racing going on. So thanks guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next Monday. And if you see us out at the track this week, come say hi.